I tell him he will be the one managing my territory's residents, and then I add that he will not be the only one doing it. His head comes up fast and he asks, not quite believing it, whether I mean he can join too. I have no idea what movie has been playing behind that young man's eyes for the last 10 minutes. A hero is valuable. Did he think I was going to kill him? Then I catch up. From his angle it makes sense, because as long as he is alive his people trust him before they trust the new lord. That is exactly the sort of thing a new lord tidies away. It simply is not a problem I have. My territory holds over 2,000 people, and his gathering place holds 300 or 400, and that is not a balance anyone tips. Give them time in my walls with better food and better roofs, and the belonging arrives on its own. So I tell him yes, he joins as well, and he becomes one of my administrators. There is a very reliable rule about people bracing for something terrible and receiving something merely inconvenient, and Shim Seong is standing in the middle of it. He agrees, and he opens the camp to my troops, which is convenient because there is no way we get home before dark. We are all sleeping here anyway. The announcement stirs the camp up the way you would expect. Then Shim Seong says the words Blood Wolf Clan out loud, and the objections evaporate. Nobody in that camp wants to die. There is a bonfire that evening, and somewhere in it someone works up the courage to ask whether my territory could actually stand against the Blood Wolf Clan. I tell them my territory has 1,000 professionals, and every doubt in the firelight goes out at once. The werewolf camp had 10. I have 100 times that, and by the end of the night they are impatient to see the place with their own eyes. Afterward, I go to the room Shim Seong set aside for me and stretch out to run today's 100 transformations. Then I remember I have not summoned at the 100 Spirits Pavilion, so I take out the Mother Child Stone and tell Windsor to go use today's quota for me, and we talk about nothing for a while before I get to work. What I have left is 5 pieces of purple equipment and 4 blue items. I think about it and leave the purple gear alone, because turning purple into gold gets me goldstone. What I want tonight is something I can use tomorrow. So I lay out the 4 blue items and read them one at a time. The first is an ice blue crystal, cold enough through my palm to make my hand ache. The panel calls it a mystic ice crystal stone, blue quality, an ice attribute ore, and a magic energy material with a wide range of uses. A wide range of uses is the polite way of saying nobody has decided what it is for. I raise an eyebrow at it and move on. The second is a fruit, and I suspect what it is before I read it. 3-colored fruit, blue quality, listed as a rare treasure, and eating it randomly raises basic attributes by 5 to 10 points. I set that aside without eating it. The third one I look at for a long moment. It is a silk gauze, blue quality, woven from bright light silkworm silk, light enough to turn some dark magic aside, and clearly not made for anybody who expects to be hit. The description notes that the noble ladies of the Lord Continent apparently cannot get enough of it, and it carries a maker's mark I have no intention of reading twice. So it is a piece of clothing with a footnote. The last item is a black lump that looks like stone and turns out to be ore. Black gold, blue quality, a relatively rare material used to raise the durability of items, with a chance of pushing an item's grade up. I keep the 3-colored fruit and the black gold for transformation, and put the other 2 away, since I already spent 1 attempt this morning. I specify the type and transform the 3-colored fruit. Purple light rolls over my hand and leaves a small purple brocade pouch behind. The panel names it a spirit fruit pouch, purple quality, granting a random quantity of spirit fruits when used. Somebody in the design department gets paid to invent extra steps. I open it anyway, and 3 identical fruits drop into my hand, all called 1,000 flavor fruit, and all 3 of them purple quality. Purple means at least 11 attribute points each, and up to 20 on a good roll. I do not eat them right away. Instead, I take out the mother essence the Jimson Mountain Turtle gave me and set all 3 soaking in it. Then, because the name is a dare, I put 2 away and take a bite of the third, sweetness first, then a thread of sour under it. Then, absurdly, heat, actual spice in a fruit. I stop savoring and just get through the rest of it fast, and by the end I have some regrets. The thing lives up to its name completely, and the trouble with 100 flavors is that a good number of them are terrible. At one point, I would swear I tasted an old rag. It nearly came back up. There was a candy I used to buy as a kid that worked on the same principle, and it was nowhere near this deranged. When I checked my sheet afterward, my luck was decent, with 14 points across the board. Then I take out the black gold and run the last transformation of the day, and gold light comes off it, which gets an entirely undignified noise out of me. A golden card is sitting where the ore was. It is a building quality upgrade card, golden, and using it raises a building's quality by 1 rank. The odds fall the higher the building's original quality sits. My first thought is obvious, which is whether that could push a golden quality building higher than gold. My second thought arrives a second later and is more useful. Even assuming it is possible, the odds on a golden building would be miserable, and I would be trading a certainty for a lottery ticket. So I aim lower and safer. The first building I think of is my city wall, which is purple right now, and taking it to golden quality raises its ceiling enormously. I put the card away and lie back and then discover I am bored. These days I almost never fall asleep by myself, and being alone in a strange room is a novelty I did not ask for. Since sleep is not happening, I open the chat channel to see how everyone else's evening is going. Somebody announces he has decided the island is dangerous, so he will land tomorrow and found his territory then. The channel immediately reads that as cowardice and tells him so, while promising not to laugh. Somebody else is astonished that anyone found an island at all, having assumed the whole claim was a lie. A third person is openly envious and says he is still 2 days out, and gets accused of humble bragging for it. Then the first one explains himself, saying he got close to the shore and ran into a level 16 demonic beast. The channel's tone drops through the floor. The last message I read is somebody deciding he no longer wants to land anywhere. I scroll back and work out who it is. That is the person who was less than 100 miles from his island yesterday. He has arrived, but he is too spooked to set foot on it and would rather scout tomorrow. I cannot fault that. I did not walk straight ashore and plant a flag either, because I looked first, and looking is why I am here, and other people are not. I close the channel and I am about to sleep when someone knocks. Mayo Ryong and Cat Shadow are standing there, and Mayo Ryong has the White Cat clan standing on her mind, while her sister has nothing on hers but wanting to be there. Tiger Mountain comes down the corridor a little later and does not knock at all. I shut the door on the rest of it. In the morning, the room is crowded and nobody says a word about it. Morning. Shimsong catches me the moment I step out of the room to tell me breakfast is ready. We eat in his settlement and then move out with all of them, and after a morning on the trail we come back through my own gates. The whole territory is glad to see me, and Mori goes straight to work on lunch. I put Seokpan and Shimsong together on housing the new humans, and I pull a detachment of soldiers to sit on the werewolves and set them to timber and stone. Nobody argues though, for very different reasons. Shimsong's people stop having doubts the moment they see the scale of the place. Outside the walls, the forest has changed the rules on me. The disaster week is over, so trees that grow inside my territory now stay grown and have to be cut by hand. Windsor already has soldiers and residents out there working the tree line. I call everyone in to eat first and pick it up in the afternoon, and the heroes all follow me back to the Lord's Manor. Inside, I check the population, and it reads 2,921. 80 more people and I can push my territory level. Then I check my currency and find 39 gold stone, which is not a lot for a man with my habits. I open territory technology anyway, because I want the water line. The first level costs 50 purple stones and covers the water needs of 100 people. When I confirm the build, the system asks me to define the supply range, so I point it at my own Lord's Manor. When it finishes, every room in the manor has pipes run into it and water comes out when you turn it on. Better than that, the bath in the Lord's Manor is finally a bath and not a decoration. Standing there looking at plumbing, 50 purple stones suddenly seems like a steal, since the pipework alone is worth that. Level 2 wants 50 gold stones and covers 1,000 people, so I close the panel. I will go to the Angel Realm tonight, bring back the gold stone from mining, and buy it then. I am about to sit down and eat when Chiano's announcement lands across the world. It says survival rewards have been distributed, and all lords should claim them promptly. That stops me, because I do not have a single personal survival point left. I check anyway, and I am eligible since this round is being paid out on territory ranking instead. As the first place lord, I get to choose one item out of 3. The healing castle is purple, and it heals the injuries of territory soldiers across a wide area. The war drum tower is purple, and it significantly raises the attributes of territory soldiers across a wide area. The psionic interference tower is purple, and it significantly lowers the attributes of attackers around the territory. I want all 3. One heals my army, one makes my army hit harder, and one makes everybody else hit softer. I take the War Drum Tower. I do not use it because tonight I will run it through 100 transformations and see whether I can lift its quality first. There is no urgency with no monster horde currently leaning on my walls. With that put away, I ask Ha Cheong-dae how the life well water turned out. Everyone is in the dining room by now except Philotia, who is already out hunting at sea. Ha Cheong-dae stops playing with Ha Rui and the others, sits bolt upright, and puts on a small serious face like she has been called to give evidence. She reports that besides healing injuries, life well water can raise the level of the life ancient tree and of the guardian guards. She cannot keep the delight off her face while she says it. I am surprised for about a second and then not surprised at all. The description did say the spirit race loves the stuff, and the life ancient tree and the guardian guards are spirit race things too. I ask whether it does anything for her personally. She says it does not raise her strength, but she thinks it improves her innate abilities, though she is not certain since she has not drunk much of it. That is more than enough for me, because what it already does justifies the 2 wells of life on its own. Then I asked whether the Mansong shop buys life well water. She says it does, but the price is poor, only 30 purple stones for a liter, and she is visibly indignant about it. In her opinion, the water is worth many times that. I think it is low too, until I look at it from the other end of the counter. To almost everyone alive, LifeWell water does exactly one thing, which is heal wounds. It is a healing potion in a bucket. It is only in my hands, next to my life ancient tree and my guardian guards and my wood elf, that it turns into 5 things at once. So the shop pays wound medicine prices for it, and no doubt sells it on to the spirit race for a great deal more. Fine. I tell Ha Chong-dae the LifeWell water is hers from now on, and that she is not to sell any of it. She should use it herself, or spend it on the life ancient tree and the guardian guards. I add that she should hold a reserve back as healing potion, since the day you need it is never the day you have it. She nods that small head very hard and says she has it. She is so pleased about the assignment that calling it work feels dishonest. Nothing else happens over lunch. Everyone eats and talks and the meal ends in a good mood. I decide my afternoon belongs to the underground world, because Ellie has been gone 2 days and I would like to know how she is getting on. Before I leave the territory, I stop at the Mansong shop, since I want communication tools and I am tired of not being able to reach my own people. I walk in on something I was clearly not meant to see. Shopkeeper Ja conducts the entire sale without one flicker of embarrassment, which leaves me carrying all of it. She asks whether I am buying or selling this time, with a smile that has less of her usual composure in it and considerably more charm. There's a reason for the warmth. Yesterday, Yoa told her that I sold 3 pieces of gold quality equipment across her counter, and that genuinely rattled her. Gold quality equipment is not rare on the Lord continent, and a woman in her position has handled plenty of it. Most of it better than what I brought in. What matters is who brought it. Given who I am supposed to be, 3 pieces of gold gear in one visit means something is going on behind me. She ran through the possibilities, including the idea that I am not a new lord at all but a territorial lord in disguise, and knocked each one down. What is left standing in her head is the least believable option of all. She has decided I must have a very powerful talent, probably one that raises the quality of equipment, and that this is where all the good gear comes from. So she now looks at me and sees a money tree, and possibly the person who changes the shape of her whole life. On top of that, Yu Yong has already told her that an alliance with me is coming, which makes me safe as well as profitable, which is why the heirs are gone today and I am getting something close to the real woman. I tell her I am buying, addressing her as shopkeeper Ja. She waves that off and says I need not be so distant, since given my future relationship with Yu Young we can call ourselves close. She tells me to just call her Hyungun from now on. I am mildly surprised and not remotely inclined to refuse a shortcut like that, so I tell her that in that case she can drop the Lord and use my name. She laughs, sounding genuinely pleased, and asks what I came for. I tell her I need communication tools. She runs the search and reports that my customer level does not open many types, though there are still a fair number. Once she filters for the range I want, 3 are worth looking at. The communication mirror is green quality and 2-way, with a maximum range of 400 miles in every direction, and it can carry a small amount of image information. It costs 4 gold stone. The information paper is green and 2-way, reaching 600 miles, and it cannot carry a call at all, only text. It costs 2 gold stone and 50 purple stone. The Spirit Sound Jade pendant is green and 2-way, reaches 500 miles, and costs 3 gold stone. Each of them trades range against clarity. The mirror is the most expensive of the 3, and it is green quality asking 4 gold stone, which tells you how this world prices information. At those ranges, that money is still considered fair, which puts the mother-child stone I picked up back then in a completely different light, since I have never even found the edge of its range. I buy 1 communication mirror, 2 information papers, and 1 Spirit Sound Jade pendant. The bill comes to 12 gold stone. While I am there, I look up the materials for the second layer of my War God talent, and I would have been happier not knowing. All 6 are stocked at the Mansong shop, which is the good news. The bad news is that I do not have purchase permission for a single one of them, and even if I did, I could not pay. Burning Blood Entangling Silk Vine and Flesh Burning Body Forging Powder both need a level 4 customer at 76 and 84 gold stone. Primordial Violet Gold Fruit and Meridian Opening Body Solidifying Pill both need level 5 at 211 and 302 gold stone. Then the last 2 arrive to finish me off. Jade Soul Nether Spring Liquid runs 749 gold stone. Emperor Tear Phoenix Blood runs 1532, and both require a level 6 customer. Standing at that counter, I feel something close to despair about my entire life. The prices are not even the real wall. The real wall is the customer level, because reaching level 6 means spending 100,000 gold stone in this shop. To date, I have spent less than 500 here, and I only got that far by playing middleman several times over. So that is my future apparently, and I am going to be a middleman until my hair falls out. I am not completely done in though. Nobody says these 6 things can only come from the Mansong shop, and this world keeps handing me items in places I did not expect. The first layer of War God is holding up fine for now, and my level is not going to stop climbing. Mostly I stop thinking about it because thinking about it does nothing except make the day worse. Then I check space teleportation tools, since I would like one in hand when the alliance gets signed. Every single one requires at least a level 5 customer. Hyunggun points me at something else instead, and it fits better than the things I was looking at. It is a small secret realm key, purple quality, which teleports the user to an unknown small secret realm and is limited to 3 people. It costs 150 gold stone and is open to a level 4 customer. 3 people and a heavy price tag, but 3 people is exactly enough to get Hua Yuyong and Yogyong hitched to my wagon. I flag it as the thing I am saving for. Out of the shop, I take a teleportation array down to my room in the dwarf city, the one Dillis used to live in, and I put my dwarf face on before I go. I walk straight back out and head for the city gates, because Dillis is who I am going to find. The dwarf city has changed while I was away. There are blood elves on the streets, and goblins, far more of both than there used to be. That tells me something happened down here in the last few days that nobody bothered to mention. I walk out of the city and hire a beast carriage toward the elf city. On the road, I ask the dwarf driving it how they get these demonic beasts to behave. Then, because a stranger asking questions is a stranger to be suspicious of, I add that he does not have to answer if it is awkward. He is barely surprised and does not seem to care at all. He laughs and says the beasts are rented from the beast carriage station in Goblin City. He has no idea why they are obedient, and tells me it is a goblin method, then adds that goblins always have some strange little trick going. Not the answer I wanted. Still useful. So I ask whether anything big has happened in the underground world lately, which is my real question dressed up. What I want to know is what became of the world-destroying beast that got out of the angel realm. He turns and looks at me with open suspicion, and I can practically hear him wondering how anybody could have missed it. I do not flinch. I tell him, perfectly calmly, that I have been at home drinking this entire time, and have not stepped outside once. That lands, and the suspicion evaporates instantly. A dwarf who has been indoors drinking for a week is the most ordinary thing in the world. What replaces it is envy. He is thinking about what it would be like to enjoy himself like that, instead of driving a beast carriage for barely enough to live on. He blames the blood-sucking carriage stations and their rent, and he curses the goblins where nobody can hear him. He answers me anyway, saying 2 major things have happened. It also occurs to him that anybody who can drink for days on end must be comfortable, and that a well-told story might be worth a tip. After that thought, his enthusiasm improves noticeably. Every coin counts. The first thing he says is that 5 days ago a battle broke out in the underground world, and the Blood Elf Queen and the Dwarf King both took the field. My eyebrows go up because that means the 2 Emperor Tears handled the world-destroying beast. He goes on, saying he heard the 3 great royal cities took heavy losses in it. He names the Goblin Great Elder, the Elf Commander, and the Dwarf City's own Captain Gyokdal as all having died. Then he clicks his tongue and says he cannot imagine what kind of enemy takes down 3 figures like that at once. I run the arithmetic quietly. Did the world-destroying beast kill Gyokdal and Wajiro outright that day? It does not fit everything I saw, and I cannot rule it out either. I also have to remember what I am listening to. This dwarf is nobody important, and whatever he was told has passed through a dozen mouths before reaching his. Half of it could be invention. I ask about the second thing, and he tells me that one is the really big one, because the 3 great royal cities intend to build a city on the surface. All 3 are acting together, and the last time they did that was when they built the 3 Kings auction house. Then his voice changes. He says he does not know whether he will ever get a chance to go up there himself. He has never once been to the surface in his life, and he wonders what it is like, and there is real longing in it. I point out that the underground passage is not far from the royal city, and ask why he has never gone, since almost nobody guards that passage. He grins and says he has heard the surface is crawling with demonic beasts, and that somebody like him would very likely die up there. He would not dare risk it. I nod, because he is right on both counts. People fear what they have not seen, and the surface really is full of things that eat dwarves. I ask when the building starts. He says it seems to be in the next couple of days, though he does not know the details, and anyway it has nothing to do with him. Sitting there watching him ride the back of that beast, I feel something close to sadness. This is a man who has gone numb, who has stopped wanting things, whose whole horizon ends at the rent on a carriage. I shake my head and stop talking, and one thought hardens in me on the rest of the ride. Whatever this world does to me, I am never going to end up like that. At the Elf City, I climb down and pay the fare, and then I hand him 50 white stones on top of it, which visibly startles him. Then I turn and look at the city in front of me and walk toward the gate. There are 4 male blood elves standing at it, and one of them steps into my path and asks to see my identification. That is new. The dwarf city never asked me for anything, and I would not know where to acquire identification if I wanted it. I take a moment to actually look at these 4, since I have not seen male blood elves up close before. They are near enough identical to the women, except that the eyes and hair run brown instead of pale red. He repeats the demand, and this time there is temper in it. The dwarf in front of him has not moved and is standing there studying him like an exhibit. I answer calmly, telling him that I do not have identification and that I do not believe I need any. He turns furious and does not move a muscle, because I am far too relaxed for his liking and he cannot work out why. He settles for shouting, demanding to know who exactly I am and what I want, and the noise pulls the other three over to surround me. I am not concerned. The strongest of the four is level 13, and beyond that, I have no reason to fight them at all. So I tell them, in the same even voice, that Lady Ellie told me to come here. All they need to do is inform Lady Ellie that someone named Heya is looking for her. The four Blood Elf guards trade looks and none of them moves. They all know who Ellie is, because the Queen's Guard Commander is not a name anyone here needs explained twice. Now a dwarf with no papers is standing at their gate claiming to be her guest, and they cannot tell whether I am lying. Most of them have never gotten close enough to Commander Ellie to be waved at, let alone introduced to the people she invites. None of them wants to be remembered as the guard who shoved away someone she was expecting. One of them finally turns and walks back into the city, telling the rest to keep me here. The palace he walks to sits beside the royal palace at the center of Elf City, and it belongs to Ellie. At the entrance, he finds a female blood elf and reports what is waiting at the gate. There is a dwarf out there calling himself Heya, claiming to be Commander Ellie's guest, carrying no Elf City identification at all. He could not decide the matter himself, so he came here instead. She does not understand it either, and she does not risk a delay. She tells him to wait, then crosses the courtyard and goes through to Ellie's residence. Ellie is working through the construction plan for the surface project when the knock comes, and she calls the woman in. The report lands flat. For a moment she cannot place it at all, because she has invited nobody. Then the name catches, and the word dwarf catches with it, and she remembers where she heard both together the first time. She is halfway out of her chair before she stops herself. A guard commander running to the city gate to greet a stranger in person would be noticed by every eye in this city, including the Blood Elf Queens. She sits back down and tells the woman to bring him in, since he is her guest and is not to be slighted. The female Blood Elf comes back out through the courtyard and tells the male guard he is coming along to greet the visitor. His stomach drops and then unclenches all at once, because the dwarf really was a guest. He also really did almost make a scene about it at the gate. The two of them take a beast carriage and drive for the city wall. I see it coming from a long way off, and after that nothing about the morning is difficult. This carriage is not the open-air rig I rode last time, because it pulls a proper enclosed compartment, cushioned and quiet, and I feel almost nothing of the road. When we stop, I climb down and follow the female blood elf into Ellie's room, and I give her a small bow and greet her as Commander Ellie. She physically flinches away from it, which tells me how badly she wanted the escort to see that. She gets the woman out of the room fast. The moment the door shuts, she is at my side asking why I have come. I tell her I came to understand this business of building a city on the surface, and that I also missed her a little. Pleasant words cost nothing, and I have never had trouble saying them. She asks whether I would change back to my own face, because the dwarf shape is doing something unpleasant to her head. I ask whether that is safe, since the royal palace is next door and there's an emperor tier sitting inside it. She says there is no danger, because the blood elf queen has been healing. That answer is worth more than the rest of the conversation put together. The world-destroying beast hurt the queen badly enough that she is still shut away. So I drop the disguise, walk over to Ellie's own seat, and sit down in it without asking. She does not object in the slightest. She comes around behind the chair and works the knots out of my shoulders while I leaf through the documents on her desk. I ask whether the queen suspected anything when she got back. She says no, that she told the queen she escaped on a random teleportation scroll and was hurt in the spatial turbulence. That explained the late return, and the story held. If anything, she says she came home with a service to her credit, and the queen values her more than before. I ask what service, without looking up from her city plan. She says it traces back to me. Winning the incomplete territory core at that auction would never have meant owning it outright. Only half the control. Half is a thin margin, she explains, because the dwarves and the goblins can combine and push back against the blood elves anyway. But Kyokdal and Wajiro wanted me in fellowship badly enough to sign a contract with her. They handed over 1/10 of the territory core in exchange for her stepping out of the bidding, and she withdrew. Because of that 1/10, the blood elves came out of it holding 60%, and that is why the queen thinks so highly of her now. So that was it, and no wonder she folded so calmly down there while I was doing my level best to bait her. I asked what became of Gyokdal and Wajiro. She says Gyokdal had bad luck and was killed outright, and Wajiro got away badly hurt and is holed up somewhere healing. I nod and file both of them where they belong. Then I ask when the city goes up, because her plan gives me no start date. She says construction begins tomorrow, and that all 3 royal cities are sending people. The Blood Elves are sending the most, since they hold the overwhelming share of the new city. That gives me the opening for the thing I have been chewing on since the auction. I ask how the control shares of a territory core get divided at all, since a core admits exactly one lord as far as I know. She tells me this one is incomplete, and that an incomplete core grants only a portion of heavenly mandate lord authority instead of all of it. The core answers to her, but under the agreement she has to hand the goblins and the dwarves a slice of lord authority too. The control share is really the area share. 60% of the new city's ground is Blood Elf, and the other two races split the remaining 40% between them. I ask what authority she actually holds right now. She says she can raise troop nests, use item cards, and, most importantly, use construction blueprints. There is real pleasure in her eyes when she gets to the last one, which is where I get stuck, because that is not different from what I hold. So what makes hers incomplete, and where exactly is the gap hiding? I put the question to her out loud. I ask how her people ever became professionals, and how they got hold of an incomplete territory core at all, if blueprint authority is the whole difference. She tells me there are also buildings that do not have to be built. My own mansong shop showed up whole, and I never laid a plank of it, so I have been sitting inside the answer this entire time. I decide on the spot that I am not going home today. I will stay, watch them found the city tomorrow, and leave after that. Then I remember the communication tools I bought and give her one of each, telling her it will make reaching each other simple. She takes them, and something in her face goes quietly pleased, because she can call her lord whenever she wants now. I also tell her to arrange an identity for me, standing at her elbow tomorrow as a dwarf falls apart the second a real dwarf tries to talk to me. She says not to worry, that she will handle all of it, and she goes out. While she is gone, I pull out her plan and read it properly. She is good, second only to one person in this entire city and above everybody else, and the plan on the table is the proof of it. The door opens again and she is back, and I ask how it went. She says everything is arranged, but that my identity is a little special. Then she stalls out like the next word is stuck sideways in her throat, which makes me far more curious than the plan did. So I ask what identity. She gets it out in pieces and says it is her male pet, and then she looks at the floor. For a second, I have no reaction at all. Then I start to find it funny, because of all the covers available in a city this size, that is the one she picked. I would bet a gold quality card she picked it with an ulterior motive attached. I look at her and ask, with a straight face, whether that means I will be calling her lord tomorrow. She shoots me a look and says absolutely not, that her name will do, or any nickname I like. Good, because if I had to say the word lord to her in public, I do not think I could get it out. She adds that I will need to turn into a male blood elf for tomorrow. Now that she can see I am not angry, she comes around behind the chair again and goes back to my shoulders. I change form. The result is a male blood elf who is not quite like any other. The hair and the eyes come out a pale light blue, and even the tips of the pointed ears carry that color. I tilt my head back and ask whether this will pass, or whether I should shift down to something ordinary. Her eyes light up and she says it is perfect. Only a blood elf strange enough to be worth keeping would explain her taking a male pet at all without anyone asking harder questions. Ellie told her household I was her male pet, said it fast and badly, and then set about making the story convincing. Her reasons were sound enough. Everyone waiting outside her door was a female blood elf she trusts, so nothing travels. She had just put the news out herself, so a witness confirming it is worth more to her than privacy is. Naki hears her voice through the door and pushes it open, and she stops dead when she finds a male blood elf where her commander should be. She works out who I must be about half a second later and gives her report to a spot on the far wall. The other commanders are in session over tomorrow's operation, she says, and they are waiting on Commander Ellie now. Ellie tells her to let them wait, and that she will be along shortly. Naki says she understands and does not linger. On the way out, she cannot stop herself from taking one more look at me, because this male blood elf really is something. No wonder the commander who never took a male pet in her life finally broke her own rule. By evening, the whole guardhouse had exactly the version of events Ellie wanted them to have. Ellie straightens her clothes, opens the door, and walks out with me behind her. Every trace of the woman from the last 10 minutes is gone. She says one word about leaving and nothing else. Naki tells her the carriage is ready. Ellie gives her the smallest nod in the world and keeps walking. Outside the commander's mansion, there is a carriage that could embarrass a throne room, roped to 2 demonic beasts. 20 female blood elves stand around it, each with a demonic beast of her own for a mount. I run their information out of habit. Not one of them is below level 18, and 2 of them are king rank at level 19 and level 20. As Ellie steps out, all 20 lay their right hands flat against their foreheads and bow. A stone servant beside the carriage drops onto the ground, and Ellie steps up using its back without so much as glancing down. She turns at the top and puts a hand out to me. I have never been given a hand up in my life, and I do not entirely know what to do with it. I take it, climb the same way she did, and the 2 of us go into the compartment. The column starts moving. Inside the carriage, she pulls my arm around herself, kisses my chin, and tells me exactly how she wants this meeting to go. Before that, she lets me say I did not expect her elf city to be quite so grand. She answers with the pride sitting right out on her face, telling me she is the strongest person in this city apart from the queen. Whatever happened to the woman who wanted to kill me the day we met, I would like her back occasionally. I ask her to walk me through the meeting, and the second she starts talking business, she is a different person. She says the meeting is barely about its own contents and is really about how tomorrow's power gets divided. Elf City runs on two forces. The city guard has 3 great commanders and holds the defense and security of the city plus all external combat. The guard team has 4 great commanders and answers for the queen's protection as her personal army. For the founding of the new city, the queen has handed responsibility to 1 city guard commander and 3 guard team commanders. And among those, she says, there is 1 guard team commander who does not get along with her at all. The column runs fast down the wide streets while she lays the rest of it out. Then it slows and stops in front of a 3-story building, with 3 other carriages already parked before it. We get down and go in with Naki, and I check Naki's information on the way. That is how I learned she is the level 20 king rank from the escort, and it takes a second to swallow. The 3 of us climb to the 3rd floor, and the talking above us stops the moment our footsteps register. When I come up and look around, there are 7 people on the whole floor. 2 men and 5 women, and only 2 of the women and 1 of the men are seated. The one in the dark purple gown laughs the instant she sees us, a pretty little laugh with a knife in it. She says this is exactly what she expects of Elf City's first commander, so busy that a meeting has to sit and wait on her. So she leads with Ellie. She is also the only person here with a man and a woman standing at her back, and the male blood elf behind her is remarkably good looking. This is the commander Ellie warned me about then. I run her information. Najio Myong reads epic. Level 22, king rank, with strength at 311 and agility at 303. Defense sits at 109, wisdom at 267, and mana at 2670. Her profession is hero and swordsman. The skill list runs sword mastery, swift slash, half moon slash, sword dance slash, consecutive slash, flowing light and flying sword. She wears blue grade flying leopard boots, purple grade radiance armor, and a purple grade falcon sword. Her talent is sword chi, and her race is blood elf. Ellie told me this woman was extreme, and reading the panel is what explains it. Her defense is barely over 100. From the moment she hit general rank and could allocate her own basic attributes, she put almost nothing into defense and dumped every point into strength and agility. At level 22, she still has room to climb. On paper, a swordswoman working mostly in melee is at a disadvantage against a ranged archer like Ellie. That would be comforting if not for the talent line. Sword chi means she can hit at range whenever she decides to, and Ellie has never once mentioned seeing her use it. So Nagyomyang has been sitting on her real hand for a very long time. The only questions left are what she is saving it for, and whether the Blood Elf Queen already knows. Ellie does not answer the jab at all. She walks straight to the seat at the head of the room, pushes me down into it, and then sits herself down in my lap. Nobody expected her to be that brazen in a setting like this, and honestly I did not either. But I get my arms around her before the pause turns embarrassing. Nagyomyang looks me over, decides I clean up well enough, and says she heard about the male pet, and supposes this must be him. She adds that Ellie must really dote on him. Ellie agrees cheerfully that yes, she dotes on him, and says she fully expects to be doted on in return. Then she turns and blinks at me for confirmation. Nobody in that room misreads what she is actually announcing. The others sit there with their mouths open, and the male city guard commander on the right mutters that he never would have guessed Commander Ellie had this many tricks in her. The female guard team commander beside Nagyomyang gets her face back under control while her eyelid keeps twitching. Nagyomyang has nothing at all to fire back with, and settles for silence. I have no idea what game she is playing, and I am sitting in the middle of it. Ellie cuts through it and asks what exactly they called her here to discuss. Nagyomyang says it is the division of labor for tomorrow's construction. Ellie asks how they intend to do it and lets her eyes travel over all of them. The 3 of them glance at each other and nobody wants to go first. While the silence is still setting, several women come up the stairs and lay out fruit, melon, and tea at every table. Coco No, the guard team commander sitting beside Nagyomyang, takes a sip of tea and gives the answer. Commander Moyon takes the new city's defense. She takes management of the new city's resources herself, and Nagyomyang takes external expansion. Ellie's eyes flick at that and she asks what is left for her. Nagyomyang says, without much interest, that she gets overall coordination and the actual building of the city. Ellie says that is fine, but that the living resources of the new city will be handled personally by her, whatever else Coco No manages. Nagyomyang says it is impossible and smashes her teacup on the floor to punctuate it. Ellie barely looks at her. She says the decision is hers, and that they can discuss it among themselves and bring her an answer. Getting ignored is what actually lights the fuse. It burns hotter when Nagyomyang looks down and finds tea and wet leaves splashed across her shoes. She says in a completely level voice that someone is going to clean this up for her. I am still working out who she is talking to when the male blood elf behind her steps forward. He goes down on his knees at her feet and cleans the stains off her shoes with his hands. He does it in front of everyone without a word, and the smooth ordinariness of it is what turns my stomach. Her expression never changes, and neither does his. Whatever this is, it has clearly happened many times before. I look around the room to see whether anyone else finds it remarkable, and not one face is moved. I lean into Ellie's ear and ask whether blood elves normally carry on like this. She tells me that in Elf City women stand above men, and that the status of male blood elves is very low. That explains the whole room's reaction to me sitting in the chair, which I had been reading as pure surprise at Ellie. It also puts the city guard commander in a new light. Mo Yan is a male blood elf holding a city guard command in a city built like this, and raw strength alone does not carry a man that far here. He got there another way, which makes him the most dangerous person on this floor after Nagyo-myung. And now that I think about it, he has not volunteered a single opinion since I walked in. Strip the title off him, and everyone in this room would forget he was present. Na Jeomyung kicks the male blood elf away without looking at him. He does not resist by so much as a flinch, gets himself up through the pain, and goes back to standing behind her chair. Then she turns cold eyes on Ellie and says they absolutely cannot agree to the living resources. She tells her not to forget why the queen ordered them to assist her in the first place. Ellie understands that perfectly well. Beyond genuinely sharing the load, they are here as a leash, because a commander with no restraint develops ambitions that do not suit her. If living supplies fell under Ellie's control, everyone inside the new city would be living at her discretion. She never expected them to say yes. It was a negotiating move, the kind where you open with something outrageous and let the other side knock it down. Then you present the reasonable version which they accept out of relief. Had I understood what she was doing at the time, I would have called it the broken window fallacy. And people still fall for it. She stares Na Jeomyung down for a long moment, then says she will take a step back and that they will manage the living supplies together. Na Jeomyung is still not happy, but she has nowhere left to push. She looks over at Coco No and Mo Yan and asks what they think, already knowing this is where it ends. Coco No says she has no objection, and says it first. Mo Yan says he will follow the arrangements. Na Jeomyung says she agrees too, and makes the word sound expensive. Ellie says it is settled and changes the subject to the other two races and where the manpower is coming from. Just like that, the four of them stop being rivals and become one body, all of them representing Elf City against everyone who is not in the room. The afternoon burns down into evening. The meeting breaks up and everyone leaves to go do the things they just agreed to. Ellie and I get back into the carriage and ride home to the mansion. On the way in, she tells Naki to have dinner prepared and sent up to the hot spring hall, and adds that 2 people should be called up there to serve. Naki peels off to make it happen. I follow Ellie to the top floor of her mansion and into a room with a pool big enough to swim laps in, steam standing off the surface in sheets. We went into the hot spring, and 2 attendants came in behind us and set to work on our shoulders without being asked. I fell asleep somewhere in the middle of it, which is not something I have done in front of another person in a very long time. When I come back up out of it, I shake my head clear and find Ellie watching me, telling me I should eat first. Only then do I see the 2 long silver trays floating on the water with the food laid out on them. The 2 attendants are waiting quietly off to the side. I ask whether she is eating, and she says she started a while ago. I look at the 2 attendants and tell them their service is finished and that they can go out. Nobody else is to come in and disturb us. They look at Ellie for confirmation, and Ellie does not so much as acknowledge them, so they trade a glance, get up and leave. I pull the tray in front of me and eat. I pull the tray in front of me and eat. With dinner done, I start today's 100 transformations, and the first things out are the 2 blue quality items left over from yesterday. One is a mystic ice crystal stone, an ice attribute ore listed as a magic energy material with multiple uses. The other is a bright light silk gauze, woven from bright light silkworm silk and rated as able to turn aside a certain amount of dark magic. The maker's mark on it reads Bolseum, apparently a famous clothier, and the noble ladies of the Lord Continent cannot get enough of the stuff. I run the gauze first. Random transformation. Purple light flashes, and what lands in my hand is a card which I was not expecting. It reads as a large bright light silkworm colony summoning card at purple grade, which summons and grants me bright light silkworms on use. A note explains that the bright light silk they spin is the main material for making the gauze in the first place. So the system's answer to my ore problem is that I should go into silkworm farming, which would be a fine idea if I owned a single mulberry tree. I make a note to find a mulberry tree resource card when the chance comes, because down the line this gauze could be a genuine commodity for my territory. Right now the only thing my territory produces that is worth putting in front of a buyer is life well water, and selling that is a losing trade. which is exactly why the bright light silkworm matters. It is the first real path my territory has to making money, and the description already told me the market. High society women and high-end goods together mean the margin is enormous. That is the kind of product a territory can live on for a century. Territories are going to trade with each other eventually, because otherwise this whole thing is a single-player game. Warships cannot possibly exist only for fighting the demon domain. The goldstone mine I took out of the angel realm is good, but every mine runs dry in the end. I put that away in my head and run 100 transformations on the mystic ice crystal stone. Gold light rises off it, and I sit straight up before I can stop myself, because gold results do not happen often. Ellie sat against me while I worked, and made it very clear she had no intention of moving. She hooks an arm through mine and asks what the item is. I do not answer, because the light is still fading and I want to see it first. What is left in my hand is another card, a giant mystic ice crystal stone ore vein at gold grade, which on use gives me the vein itself. It is my first gold quality resource card. A vein of a material whose own description said magic energy material with various uses is worth real money by itself, and it reminds me of something that has been sitting in my storage gathering dust for months. I call it out and a cylinder appears, grooves cut all over its surface, with a small round hollow set into the top. It stands 1 meter across and 1.5 meters tall, and it is purplish gold all the way through. The magic liquid origin pool, gold grade, which produces mystic origin magic liquid with different functions depending on what goes into it. I know what mystic origin magic liquid is. It is a special spiritual substance of the Lord Continent, worked into city walls, buildings, and weapons, with a real chance of granting them magical effects, which means the mystic ice crystal stone I just acquired a whole vein of can be fed into the pool, which means my walls and my buildings can come out of construction, carrying magic. I sit there imagining my city wall with defensive and offensive enchantments layered through it, and it is a very good image. I have no idea yet what effects an ice attribute material would produce once the liquid is made and used. I come back to myself and remember there is a third item to burn tonight. I have the wardrum tower I picked up today, but even if I transformed it now, I would not put the result into service immediately, so it can wait. The other option is running 100 transformations on a gold quality piece of equipment and selling whatever comes out. I turn it over once and drop it, because a modest pile of goldstone does nothing for me at this point. So I look at Ellie and ask whether she has anything strange or unusual lying around. Ideally, high quality. There is a reason I want strange. The weirder the input, the rarer the output tends to be, and I have been proving that to myself for a while now. She works out what I am after immediately, thinks for a moment, and pulls a communication device out of the clothes on the shore. It is her own, the one she uses to reach her subordinates and to speak to the queen. It is a better piece of equipment than anything I bought, because it can connect several people at once instead of only 2. She tells Naki to go down to the storeroom and bring her something, then describes where it is and what it looks like. Naki came in, registered the situation, and turned a color I had not previously seen on a blood elf. She comes forward anyway, holds out the thing in her hands, and says this is the item that was asked for. I do not notice a second of that, because my eyes are already locked on what she is carrying. I take it straight out of her hands and turn it over. It is about the size of a basketball, black, covered in short black tentacles, and when I squeeze it my fingers sink in. It has the give of a lump of meat. If it registered as anything other than an object I would swear it was alive. The panel calls it a nightmare flesh ball at purple grade, the remains dropped by a nightmare beast, unconscious, with an extremely slight capacity for mental interference. So it is a piece of flesh shed by one of the different kinds of beast, which explains everything about it. As an item, it is close to worthless. Its grade is high purely because of what it used to be part of. The nightmare beast, like heavenly oddity, is one of the different kinds of beast, and I know what that category means. They are born out of the world itself and have no equals, and there is only one of each in all of heaven and earth. I happen to own one of them, which is not a sentence most people can say. I ask Ellie where she got it. She says she does not remember, that it has been too long, and that it is the highest quality item in her storeroom. I nod, and then I glance at Naki, which is the polite way of asking for a room. Ellie catches the glance and understands it. Naki is not one of the 2 attendants from earlier, and she is under no obligation to obey a male pet. Ellie does not send her out, and tells me instead that it is fine, and that Naki can be trusted. That surprises me a little, since she was quick enough to clear the room earlier in the day. Naki stands there listening to the 2 of us and cannot make it fit, because Lady Ellie is being obedient to a male pet. Surely nobody commits to a role that thoroughly. I let all of that go, because if Ellie says the woman can be trusted, then she can. Ellie is not going to do anything that damages me. At this point, the 2 of us rise and fall together, and she knows it better than I do. I go with random transformation again. Gold light flashes, and what is left in my palm is a silver-white crystal with threads of purple mist drifting around inside it. I read the information and say something that would not survive being written down. I have just pulled a genuine treasure. The panel calls it a dreamscape core, listed as a special item. Once placed, it forms a spatial portal, and through that portal a person can enter the dreamscape. The dreamscape holds enormous numbers of dream beasts formed out of illusion, and killing them yields nothing but experience points. And there is a note attached, which is the part that matters. You do not truly die in the dreamscape, because if a dream beast kills you, you come back in the dream pool. It is a long description, and it is very detailed, and out of all of it I only see 2 words. The 2 words are troop training. Most of my troops come out of their nests at level 4. Turning that into an actual fighting force means hunting monsters, and hunting monsters means losing people. Troops that can only be summoned once a month at best are precious, and the high-quality ones are more precious than that. With the dreamscape, I can grind my troops up to level 12 without risking a single life. Past that, I am not certain, because heroes need cultivation techniques once they pass general rank, and I have no idea how troops handle the same ceiling. It hardly matters, because even if the levels stall out, the combat experience alone would be worth it. I ignore the way Naki is staring and put the crystal away. That is a treasure that makes my whole territory stronger in a single step. Ellie laughs beside me and congratulates me on turning up yet another treasure. I tell her that her contribution tonight was genuinely large. Otherwise, I say, I would simply have let her use that other item herself, since she is most likely going to be running the new city from here on. I am not saying it to be gracious, because I have been planning it for a while. The only reason I held the card back before was the risk of the Blood Elf Queen noticing, which would have started something I did not want started. But the Queen is injured and shut away healing, and Ellie is going up to the surface. She will not be back in the underground world for a long stretch. On top of that, every day earlier she gets her promotion potential, as a day earlier she can bank experience through her cultivation technique. That brings Emperor Tyr closer. She knows exactly which item I mean. Her eyes come alight with something close to hunger, because reaching Emperor Tyr has been the fixed point of her whole life. Then she gets herself back under control and asks whether using it on her would interfere with my plans. That question is worth more to me than the answer is to her. Putting my interests ahead of her own dream means she has accepted me all the way down, and that Heia territory comes first in her head now. I tell her of course not, and I walk her through my reasoning. She says she will listen to everything I say, quietly, and her voice shakes just enough to give her away. Naki watches the 2 of them talk and finally gets there. Slow or not, she can see that Lady Ellie is not playing an elaborate game with a male pet. She is genuinely treating this male blood elf as her lord. The first thing Naki feels is flat disbelief. The man has some strange abilities, granted, but that is not worth this surely, and his strength does not even look impressive. Then the next moment rearranges her entire understanding of the world. I take out the item card 100 Transformations gave me a few days ago. A hero quality improvement card, gold grade, which on use raises a hero's quality by at least 1 grade, and can carry them as high as legendary. Ellie looks at it with her whole heart in her face, and I use it on her without hesitating. Golden light floods the room. She says afterward that everything in her simply felt right, as if her soul had been rinsed clean, and that it seemed to last a long time and no time at all. What she felt clearly was a shackle on her breaking. Then as her cultivation technique turned over, her experience began climbing again for the first time in years, and she cried without being able to stop it. I do not interrupt her, and I check her information instead. Epic Hero has become legendary grade. When she opens her eyes, I ask how it feels, and she says it feels wonderful. It has been a very long time, she says, since she felt herself getting stronger, and then she comes into my arms. I hold her and ask how much experience she needs now to reach level 25, and she says 9,000. I ask about her cultivation technique next. She says she practices a purple quality technique called Flowing Moon, which gives her 50 experience points for 2 hours of practice a day. I ask whether 50 is the daily ceiling. She says it is, and that 50 is genuinely good. The blue quality techniques cap at 25 a day and demand 3 hours to get there, and everything below that is worse again. That is the first time I have understood what my own gold quality technique is actually worth. 100 experience a day, and possibly only an hour of practice to collect it. 9,000 points would take me 90 days, which is 3 months. It will take her 180, a full half a year. I tell her that if the chance comes, I will find her a gold quality cultivation technique to speed her up. Out of everyone in my territory, she is the one most likely to reach Emperor Tyr. I kissed her and said it quietly. She thanks me, and she is genuinely happy, and no wonder, since nobody turns down a shorter road to Emperor Tyr. I tell her I am looking forward to the day she gets there, and I mean it more than she probably realizes. Then Ellie looks over and finds Naki still standing on the shore, and asks her, with real confusion, why she is still here. Naki has no idea how to answer that, because she was told to stay and never told to go. She also does not want to leave, since her head is full of questions that need answers tonight. And what were the two of them just saying? Lady Ellie's strength can be raised again, and she can become an Emperor tier in 180 days. In the entire underground world, there are 3 Emperor tier existences in total, and her commander is about to be the 4th. She stammers her way to the truth and says, weakly, that she was told to stay. Ellie is honestly puzzled, because a few minutes have passed and she has completely lost track of that instruction. She asks whether that is really what happened, and Naki says yes. Ellie waves a hand and tells her that it is fine now and she can go. Naki says nothing at all, which says quite a lot. Ellie finally reads her face and understands what she is carrying, but she does not want to spend the time now. She tells Naki she knows there are questions, and that she will answer them tomorrow. Naki understands that she is genuinely not wanted here, and she turns and goes with her disappointment showing. Naki closed the door behind her without being told to. That night was no different from any other night, and that night was completely different from every other night. All across the city, people lay awake for their own reasons. But if you asked what the largest event in the underground world was that night, it was Ellie's promotion. Morning finds Naki rubbing her eyes and looking terrible. What happened in the hot spring hall turned her over and over all night, and she only fell asleep near dawn. When she woke, she genuinely believed she had dreamed the entire ridiculous thing. Then it settled back into place as real. She carries breakfast up to Lady Ellie's room herself and finds nobody there, works out where they must be, and heads for the hot spring hall. At the door, she can hear water moving inside. She hesitates and then pushes the door open anyway. Naki learned quickly not to open that door in the morning without waiting for an answer. Breakfast happens at the edge of the pool. After that, the 3 of us go to the same office room as yesterday, and Ellie sends Naki off to run errands. I take the chair. Naki comes back in shortly, and 2 more female blood elves come in with her. With the door shut, Ellie answers the questions from last night. She does not go into any detail about what I can do, only that she is entangled with me and what our relationship currently is. The 2 newcomers are visibly shaken, and Naki takes it almost calmly, which is what a night of no sleep buys you. Then Ellie paints them the larger picture. She tells them that in time it is not impossible that the 3 of them could qualify for promotion to Emperor tier themselves. Naki was there last night and vouches for all of it, so the other 2 believe it quickly. After belief comes an excitement that fills the room, because Emperor tier has suddenly become a phrase that might apply to them. And there is something nearer than that, which is that Lady Ellie will be an Emperor tier soon. For people who measure their lives in centuries, half a year is no time at all. Ellie introduces the other 2 to me as her confidants, the same as Naki. One of them runs the training of the guards and stands at level 23, and her name is Suna. The other manages Ellie's properties and stands at level 19, and her name is Maru Sione. Naki's own role is assisting Ellie with everything the guard team touches. For this trip to the surface, only Naki is coming with us, since the other 2 have to stay behind and keep the commander's mansion running. Ellie finishes the rest of her preparations quickly, puts me in the carriage, and takes us out of Elf City with 100 guards around us. The column does not stop once it is clear of the walls. Some long stretch of time later, the carriage finally halts, and when I lift the curtain, there are people packed solid ahead of us. A conservative count puts it at no fewer than 5,000. Our carriage rolls up to the head of the line, and Ellie and I get down and find the 3 Blood Elf commanders from yesterday already there. I notice at once that the male pet who stood behind Nagiomyong is not present, and I do not have to work hard to guess how that ended for him. Beyond the Blood Elves, there are 2 dwarves and 1 goblin, and it is obvious those 3 are leading their own race's contingents. Nagiomyong opens with a remark about how Ellie really does look after her male pet, and there is no need to turn my head to know who said it. Ellie fires back that she believes in being faithful from beginning to end, unlike some people who cannot hold on to a man at all. Nagiomyong says the men she keeps are fit for cleaning her boots and nothing beyond that, and she does not hide an ounce of her contempt. The goblin cuts across both of them and says they should start moving instead of wasting time. Everyone stops talking and the column begins advancing in order toward the underground passage. When we reach the mouth of it, I cannot keep the surprise off my face. This passage is nothing like the Dwarven one. It runs better than 10 meters wide, and the floor is laid with stone slabs the whole way. Ellie tells me the 3 races developed it jointly, so the preparation for this new city has been going on far longer and far more seriously than the auction alone would suggest. The column moves in and begins climbing toward the surface, and that is the moment the power of the underground world reaches into the surface world for the first time. Without a carriage to sit in, I can finally look around properly. The carriage itself stayed behind in the underground world, because the surface here is forest and it would not get 20 paces in. As we walk, I notice a round ball of fierce white light set into the ceiling stone at regular intervals, all the way along. They function like luminous pearls, and there are hundreds of them. I would guess the lighting on this tunnel alone would buy a small territory. After a while, the mood of the whole column goes heavy, which is how I know we are close. Someone up front shouts for everyone to be on guard. The troops move out of the passage in a practiced order and fan into a perimeter. The civilians get walled inside them while the whole mass advances in one direction, with small corrections as it goes. They have clearly scouted this ground already and know exactly where they are headed. A movement this large gets the attention of every monster in the forest, and most of them want no part of it. A few of them refuse to take the hint, circling the column with a hunting animal's patience before rushing in anyway. Most of those die for nothing, and the occasional one that manages a kill is put down at once by everyone standing nearby. Then the trees open out. There is a mountain range ahead of us with a river winding down out of it, and running away through the forest. Along both banks, the trees have already been cleared into a wide flat plain. There are roughly 200 people out on that plain, half of them true professionals, and all of them watching the tree line without a break. They snap around when they hear the column coming, and every one of them sags when they see whose it is. Once everyone has moved on to the open ground and settled, Ellie says she is issuing orders. Whoever hears one carries it out immediately. She scans the crowd as she says it, and her eyes rest longest on the dwarf and goblin leaders. Whatever they are thinking, neither of them lets anything show. She turns to one of the two dwarf commanders, a short, stout one, and tells Commander Keto to take part of his people and start collecting stone. Stone is what the base needs first, and she adds that he is to protect the civilians, because they are part of the wealth here too. Keto says almost nothing, nods and leads his group off toward the mountain range. She turns to the other dwarf commander, a leaner one, and gives Commander Kalimu the trees. He is to take the remaining dwarves and clear the ground around the site, opening living space and bringing in timber as he goes. Kalimu has no objection either and gets moving. Then she turns to the only goblin leader, and her tone softens noticeably. She asks Elda Raye the mechanist to lead the goblins in a preliminary survey of the resource deposits around the site. That will lay the foundation for future development, she says, and she adds with a smile that she hopes they will note the locations of edible fruit along the way. The old goblin elder has a kind face and a kinder answer. He says surveying is precisely the goblin race's specialty, and that they will not disappoint Commander Ellie. And then he leads his small group off into the distance. Small is the right word for it. Out of a column of roughly 5,000, the goblins number no more than 300 altogether. With the other races moving, Ellie turns to her own and tells Coco No to begin an inventory of every resource already at the base. She is to count the current population as well, with particular attention to how many people the other two races actually brought. Coco No leaves with her guards without arguing. That leaves Nagyomyong and Mo Yen, and Ellie tells them their job is the road. They have to cut a path through the forest back to the underground world fast enough to keep convoys moving, or the whole base starves. Everything they carry is dry rations and it will not last. Neither commander objects, and the remaining Blood Elves start back along the route we came in on. Trees come down and get broken apart. Blood Elf soldiers hold the edges of the work and put down anything that comes out of the brush. Over 5,000 people from under the ground begin tearing into a forest that has never seen anything like them. By the middle of the day, there are stacks of timber and heaps of stone piling up on the open plain. At noon, everybody stops to rest, and the commanders gather at the center of the clearing. Dry rations get eaten fast, and then the others go straight back to work while Ellie stays behind with Kato and Raye. She is about to found the territory, and I am standing next to her, extremely curious. By her own account, the incomplete territory core does nothing my own core does not do, and I want to see that claim tested. She takes out the core and uses it. A wooden house appears on the open ground. All four of us stand there looking at it, and the same thought goes through every one of us, which is whether that can possibly be all of it. It hits me harder than the others, because when I founded my territory, the Lord's Manor that came up was large and full of rooms. My first guess is that the incomplete core produces a smaller Lord's Manor. Then I remember the Lord's Manor style selection card I used at the time, and the 9-story tower style I picked out of it. This unremarkable wooden house is what a normal territory founding actually gives you, and I have been quietly spoiled since the beginning. Ellie gets there at the same time, because she can feel that the Lord's Manor is established, and the Lord's Manor is that shed. Then blueprints start appearing in her hands, and there are a lot of them. Almost all of them are residential building blueprints, with a run of well blueprints mixed in. They come out of the storage necklace at her throat, which only holds 20 cubic meters. It is reserved for valuable things rather than wasted on bulk food. As each blueprint vanishes, a matching amount of the timber and stone on the ground vanishes with it. Residential buildings stand up across the plain with wells appearing at regular intervals between them, and she sets several quarries against the mountain range and several lumber yards out in the forest. Then she upgrades the Lord's Manor. Light flashes and the shed becomes a larger wooden building, and we walk in to look. The floor is stone now and there are 3 rooms, which is a level 2 Lord's Manor. She does not pause for breath and pushes it straight to level 3. It is still timber and larger again, and the interior has been divided into rooms with actual purposes: a kitchen, a study, a bedroom, a bathroom. On top of that, she puts up a medical room, a blacksmith shop, and a tailor shop. Then she uses one more blueprint and raises a small city wall 500 to a side around the whole thing. After that, she takes the territory itself to a level 1 village in a single jump. I have been running a territory for a long time, and watching her do a week of my early history in one afternoon is genuinely humbling. If there had been enough stone to push the Lord's Manor to level 4, she could have taken the territory to a level 3 town on the first day. Since there is not, she spends the leftover timber upgrading the residential buildings so they hold more people. Then she turns to Kido and Ra-Ye and tells them plainly that they are short on basic materials and shortest on stone, and asks Commander Kido to speed up the mining. Kido has just watched her use construction blueprints with his own eyes, and the relief on him is obvious, because it means this new city is actually going to exist. The two commanders leave without pressing her for their share of Lord authority. It is day 1, and there is no rush. Once everyone else is gone, I ask Ellie what her territory is called. She looks blank and says she has not named it. I tell her she had better name it then, and quickly add a question about whether she wants the other 2 races brought over to discuss it. The last thing this place needs is 3 races fighting about a signboard on the first afternoon. I have my own reasons for wanting the construction to go smoothly, because I already think of this base as mine. Once she reaches Emperor Tier, the territory the 3 races built together is going to drift under me one piece at a time. She says there is no need and smiles, saying she can decide a small thing like that herself. Then she asks what name I think it should have. I tell her to call it whatever she likes, because naming things is the single worst skill I possess, so she names it herself. I ask what she chose, and I asked fast, because I have an idea I want to test. She tells me it is Aisha territory, and she looks extremely pleased about it. I have no comment on that whatsoever. I let it go and open the territory ranking instead, and I run through every level 1 village on the board 3 times. Aisha territory is not on it anywhere, which means Aisha territory has not actually entered the Heavenly Mandate trial at all, and there is the first real cost of an incomplete territory core. Then something else occurs to me, and I ask her whether her connection to the territory deepened as it upgraded, and whether her sense of control over it tightened. She thinks about it honestly and says no. That answer starts my head running. When my territory upgrades, I feel the bond pull tighter every time, and the shift was unmistakable when it reached town rank. My working theory has always been that the tightening is the territory beginning to become a small world. If Ellie feels nothing, then her territory has no path to becoming a small world at all, and its ceiling is fixed. I tell her to pay close attention again when it reaches a level 3 town and see whether anything has changed. She nods and lets it go at that. After that, I leave the camp and go into the forest alone, because I still need levels and there are monsters here who are about to help. I come back to the base about an hour before dark and check myself. I am under 100 experience points short of level 11, which I will clear tomorrow without trying. In the evening, Ellie upgrades the Lord's Manor again. Level 4 is larger still, and the ground floor walls have turned to stone, and the territory goes to a level 3 town on the back of it. She tells me she still does not feel anything of what I described. That settles it. On the surface, the incomplete territory core looks nearly identical to mine, and underneath it, the two are not the same kind of object at all. I say my goodbyes after that because I am going back with the grain convoy and I need to be in my own territory. Before I go, I ask Ellie to get me an identity token from Commander Kido, so that walking in and out of Dwarf City stops being an adventure every time. The trip back carries only dwarves and blood elves. We move along the road that got cut today and it goes much faster, helped by the absence of caravans and civilians dragging at the tail. And the blood elf in charge of the return column is Na Jeomyoung, who does not get along with Ellie. She looks over at me, the one figure that does not belong in a female blood elf guard detail, and something moves behind her eyes. Then she starts walking toward me. My gut turns over immediately, because I am a male pet in this column, and the gap between her level and mine is not a gap so much as a canyon. If she genuinely decides to do something to me, coping with it would be very hard. It would not be impossible since with the War God talent active, I still have a way out, but using it burns every plan I have built here. She reaches my side before I have finished thinking it through. I glance at her and keep my face absolutely still. Commander Na put the flat of her sword on my shoulder and asked me my name. I do not answer. I am Ellie's male pet in front of 100 witnesses, and the two of them despise each other, so rolling over the instant she speaks would make things worse. Her expression drops cold, then rebuilds itself into a smile, and she moves closer and asks whether I am sure I will not answer her. That smile is what tells me the game has changed. I have already seen how she treats male pets and it looks nothing like this. If I stay silent through another round, she is going to reach for a method. So it is time to answer. She is a commander, and I am supposed to be property, which means I can be a little unyielding but not entirely unyielding, or the performance stops being believable. I say Ha Shin in a flat voice, and then I stop talking. She turns the name over and confirms she has never heard it. She also has to admit, this close, that Ellie got lucky, because this male pet is genuinely striking. More than that, he does not fold the way every other male blood elf folds the moment she looks at him. In something that is only a male pet, that is rare enough to be worth having. So she smiles and asks how I feel about following her from now on, and being her male pet instead. When she started walking over, the plan was only to take me off Ellie for the pleasure of watching her face, and then throw me away. Somewhere in the last minute, she has decided she would actually like to keep me. My eyelid twitches because for a second I do not understand what is happening. Then I catch up to what she is doing and it makes more sense. I tell her Commander Noah thinks far too highly of me and that in any case I am Ellie's and will not be leaving her. I keep my face frozen while I say it. She smiles, asks whether that is really so, and tells me she can offer better terms. I tell her there is no need, because Ellie is very good to me. She says she will be better to me than Ellie is. And the way she says it is not an invitation. So I glance sideways at her and ask whether she would call me Lord in front of other people. Her face locks up. She is remembering how Ellie and I looked yesterday, and the memory makes it worse. Being made to call a male blood elf Lord would be more unbearable to her than dying. I tell her I know why she came to find me, and that I know about the grievances between her and Ellie. What she is doing right now will not make anyone think better of her, since stealing another woman's male pet is not a reputation anyone brags about. The truth is that I do know the history, and strictly speaking, there is no great enmity in it at all. Na Jeomyang is arrogant. In the competition for the guard commander position, Ellie took first place and got there ahead of her, and she has never accepted it. She has spent years opposing her and creating problems for her, and she has never once succeeded. Thinking that through, I let my eyes rest on her a moment longer than I should, because I am remembering the hidden talent on her panel. I have been wary of her since yesterday because of it. Decades have gone by since that commander selection, and she has kept Sword Chi buried for every one of them. She opposed Ellie the whole time without ever showing the one card that might have decided it. I have tried to work out who that performance is for, and there is only one name that fits, which is the Blood Elf Queen. She catches my look, and for a moment, feels distinctly like she has been seen through, and something in her tightens before she can stop it. Then she finds that ridiculous because it came from a male pet. When she checks my face again, it is the same cold nothing it has been the whole time, so she decides she imagined it. She turns over what I said and concedes privately that there is something in it. She is not going to act on it, because she has never cared about her reputation and the entire city knows she does not. But this Ha Shin is clearly loyal to Ellie and clearly not easy to take. She could simply abduct me, of course, and she weighs it. Doing so would put her permanently at war with Ellie, and judging by yesterday, Ellie genuinely likes her male pet. A permanent war with Ellie would be bad for whatever Na Jeomyang intends to do later. A contest of wills like this one can be smoothed over. Even luring a male pet away would not be a final break, because luring away and carrying off are two entirely different crimes. So she tells me I am right, and that she does not care about her reputation, and that I will not get away from her. Then she pats my shoulder and walks off. She was not flirting with me. She was measuring how much trouble it would be to simply take me. I let out a breath once she is gone, and then I think about that parting line and realize I have collected another problem. Worst case, I simply stop coming around here so often. The column takes a few monster attacks on the way and loses nobody. Then the mouth of the underground passage swallows us, and the whole formation exhales at once, because this is the part of the world where things are actually safe. I say my goodbyes to the Blood Elves, go on to Dwarf City with the Dwarven group, walk to my residence alone, and take the teleportation array home. Back in my own territory, the first thing I do is use a communication tool to reach Ellie. The new base is not the underground world, and nobody has any idea how far away from me it actually sits. Every one of the tools connects, which answers the question by itself. The communication mirror has a range of 400 miles, which means the base is at most 400 miles from my territory. That distance I can live with, and they are not going to stumble onto my territory anytime soon. The only thing that breaks it is if they decide to comb the entire forest the way I did when I first went looking for the underground passage. If that happens, they will find me fast. I do not go straight back to the Lord's Manor. I get hold of Seokpan first and ask whether he has the blueprints I asked about on hand, then tell him to bring them and wait for me at the manor entrance. He does not ask what they are for, which is one of the several reasons I like working with him. Then I turn the other way and head for the Mansong shop, because there is a shopping list sitting in my head that has been waiting 2 days for a free hour. I walked into the Mansong shop at exactly the wrong moment, walked straight back out, and waited in the street until someone remembered there was a customer. When shopkeeper Ja finally calls me in, her tone is a good deal shorter than usual, and I decide not to take that personally. I go to the counter to pick items out myself, and find that the selection tool that normally sits there is gone. She tells me to press the red button. and only then do I notice a small red button in the corner of the counter with a groove cut beside it. I press it and a light screen unfolds in the air, carrying the entire product list. So the shop has been upgraded too. I slot the flower card into the groove and start choosing. This time I am not buying a week of emergency rations the way I did on the first trip. This time I mean to develop the angel realm properly, so I take my time over the list, and even after all that I walk out having spent less than 1 goldstone. Cheap, for furnishing an entire second world. Seokpan is already standing at the manor entrance when I arrive. I do not stop to explain anything. Just open the portal to the angel realm and let the two of us step through. The mining field on the other side is still running, and nobody has knocked off for the night. The moment we appear, the miner buff comes over and greets both of us with a proper salute. I ask him how the mine is holding up, listen to the answer, and send him back to work. Then I start unloading wood and stone out of my storage ring, because I have a construction list of my own. I start with the residential building blueprints Seokpan prepared, putting up 10 of them and then upgrading all 10 to level 2. There are only a little over 70 people in the angel realm at the moment, and 10 level 2 residential buildings will hold 100, so that problem is solved for a while. After the housing I build a public toilet and a kitchen, and then a cold storage, which is a fairly rare blueprint to have lying around. All of these came out of the last Spirit Demon battlefield, and all of them have been sitting in Seokpan's hands. White and green quality across the board. Nothing glamorous, but glamour does not feed miners. Next come the resource cards. Most of what I am carrying is white quality and nothing rare, and only 1 card in the stack is worth anything real. The Regeneration Lake resource card is purple, and using it gets me a medium-sized lake with renewable water resources. That description is one I made myself rather than one I bought, since the card came out of my own 100 transformations. I find an empty stretch of ground and use it. Purple light ripples out across the bare dirt, and then a lake is simply there. One that the system calls medium-sized, and that I would put it several miles around. Somebody at Cheonmo needs to look up what medium means. After the lake, I use a forest resource card along its edge, and stands of trees come up out of nothing. Then I drop a few fish resource cards and a couple of aquatic plant cards into the water itself. That handles drinking and eating for the people stationed here in the simplest possible way, though in the long run I will have to plant grain out here and move more bodies across. I am not done yet either. I take every ore vein resource card I still own and use all of them in the angel realm. Element gem veins, spirit crystal mines, purple crystal mines, iron mines, the whole stack. The one that actually matters is the mystic ice crystal stone mine, which is close to producing. I call Buff back and tell him to put a shift on the mystic ice crystal stone specifically. Before I leave, I collect the goldstone that has already come out of the ground. It is not standard goldstone, but that has never been a problem because Chiano converts anything like it straight into my own goldstone data. My total reads 123 when I check it. Setting aside what I already had, roughly 80 goldstone came out of this mine in the 4 days from last Thursday to this Monday. Lower than I estimated, and I can live with it. Then I head for the Angel City ruins with Seokpan, park him at the edge, and walk into the territory core alone. I need to top up my keys. I am halfway through restocking them when a thought lands on me and refuses to leave, so I decide to test it. My inventory says Territory Core 173 and Ship Core 154. I take 1 Territory Core out. The instant it appears in my hand, the fist-sized transparent core of the Angel Realm starts to glow, and through my connection to it I can actually feel it wanting the thing I am holding. I walk the core over, and Chanmo's voice arrives, asking whether I want to integrate the detected Territory Core, and I tell her yes. The one in my hand turns into a transparent liquid, floats, drifts across, and sinks into the other. I look the big core over and find absolutely nothing has changed. Too few maybe. I check my count again, decide that 172 is a number I can afford to bleed, and feed it 22 more in one go. Still no obvious change, though the core looks fractionally larger than it did, and it takes me a moment to work out that I am looking at the wrong thing entirely. So I reconnect to the core and survey the Angel Realm through it. The whole realm is bigger. It used to be 30 square kilometers, and it now reads 32, a gain of 2. That is what the territory cores do. They buy land. I test it once more with 10 cores. This time I watch through the connection as the edges of the Angel Realm creep outward with each core that disappears, until the total settles at 33 square kilometers. 10 territory cores for 1 square kilometer confirmed. Then I stop, because I do not intend to keep spending them here. I will need territory cores for my own territory, and my reading of how this world works says that territory upgrades are going to want them eventually. On top of that, I have no way to acquire more this month, and once the month closes, everyone who is capable of founding a territory will already have founded one. After that, the only way to get a territory core is to take one off somebody by destroying their territory, which is a considerably worse business plan. Then the second half of the thought arrives, and it is better than the first. If I am right about how all of this fits together, then a large enough pile of goldstone should be able to buy me a batch of territory cores outright. The longer I turn it over, the more it holds up, and the plan itself is embarrassingly simple, with no moving parts to break. I buy territory cores through the trade channel, from everyone still adrift who has not found an island and cannot found a territory. And I do it right as the month is closing. The second month arrives immediately after, and once the second month is gone, nobody can establish a territory at all. Anyone holding a core at that point is holding a rock. A great many people will be willing to sell. The complication is that plenty of territorial lords will be reaching for the same thing at the same time, and I have no idea what the price will have climbed to by then. There is no point chewing on it, because the price is not mine to set, and all I can actually do is stack up as many cores as the rest of this month allows. I collect my keys, and Seokpan and I leave the Angel Realm together. It is very late by then, so rather than wake half the household, I head straight for my own room. Tiger Mountain catches me in the corridor, sounding delighted about it, and when she reaches me, I ask whether she has been out on patrol. She says she has. Tiger Mountain crossed the room, took what she wanted, and I did not put up much of an argument. Afterwards, she asked, with a completely straight face, whether that made me her male concubine now. I get on with the day's 100 transformations instead of answering that. First up is the Wardrum Tower, purple quality, which significantly raises the attributes of troops in the territory. I specify the same type and trigger the talent, and when the golden light fades, there is a black altar sitting in my hand. The War Altar significantly raises the attributes of combat units in the territory and adds a degree of healing on top. That is a relief, since the function survived intact and picked up a bonus. But the part that actually matters is that the War Altar is not a construction blueprint at all. It is an item I can simply use. After that, I am stuck. There is nothing left worth transforming, only purple equipment, and transforming purple equipment just gets me something else to sell. So I asked Tiger Mountain to go find Windsor and ask whether anything blue or anything green and interesting has come in over the last 2 days. She pulls clothes on and goes, entirely unbothered, since I am the only man in the whole Lord's Manor anyway, and nobody in this building has been shy in months. She comes back with Hwawa in tow, which surprises exactly nobody. Hwawa complains at once that I came to Tiger Mountain instead of coming to find her. When I ask why she has stopped calling Tiger Mountain Big Sister, she informs me that she ranks ahead of Tiger Mountain and owes her nothing of the sort. That finally explains why she only ever gives that title to Windsor and Dark Moon. Tiger Mountain hears the whole thing and just smiles, because Tiger Mountain does not care about rankings. Hwawa arrived at the door in a state of some determination, and Tiger Mountain handed over the 3 items in the room at the same time. The 3 items are not spectacular. 1 blue and 2 green. The decomposer is the blue one, and it lets me designate an item and break it down into basic materials. The mansion construction blueprint is green, and builds a mansion for a more comfortable standard of living. The tailoring ability book is also green and gives a tailor intermediate tailoring skills. I run the decomposer through 100 transformations first, on the theory that a thing which takes objects apart might have somewhere interesting to go. Purple light, and what is in my hand afterwards looks like a truncated cone, black with purple striping, with rings of jagged teeth set around the wider end. The decomposition and manufacturing integrated machine is purple quality. It can decompose buildings into basic materials, and it can also be told to manufacture construction blueprints. I read that second clause twice. Manufacturing blueprints is not something I have ever seen an item offer. I do not yet know whether I can add other materials into the process, with Mystic Origin Magic Liquid the obvious candidate. I also do not know whether the thing needs an energy supply to run. Both of those are small problems with obvious answers waiting somewhere. I had not planned to transform the other 2 at all, but Seokpan is still living in an ordinary residential house, which is ridiculous for the man who runs my construction. So the mansion blueprint goes into the talent. In my longer plan, the important people of the territory all live close to the Lord's Manor, and once the manor itself is large enough, some of them will live inside it. Blue light comes up rather than purple, no critical hit, and I am briefly disappointed. Then I read what the blueprint actually says, and I stop being disappointed. The mansion construction blueprint now reads blue quality and permanent. It builds a mansion that makes living more comfortable, and the construction requirements are 800 wood, 100 stone, 2 water element gems, 2 fire element gems, and 3 light element gems. That is a long and fairly expensive list, and I can pay it. What has me grinning is the other word. Permanent means I can use it again and again forever, and for all the blueprints I have accumulated since I arrived in this world, the number of permanent ones I own is pitiful. I put the blueprint away and set the ability book aside for Seokpan to assign in the morning. I have the bright light silkworm now, and sooner or later I am going to need tailors good enough to work that thread into finished cloth properly. The night went the way those nights had started going, and passed quickly. The next morning I eat breakfast in front of a table full of people who look faintly surprised to see me at it, and then I hand out the day's work. It is a short list. Philotia and Dillis take 50 troops out to hunt and fish, and everybody else stays inside the territory. The reason is that I have decided to spend the day raising the levels of my heroes and my troops, because I finally have the dreamscape. If it were not for Philotia's particular nature, which needs constant dangerous combat to build the foundation for her quality advancement, I would have kept her home as well. Before she goes, I hand her 1,000 flavor fruit to lift her attributes and get her to that advancement threshold faster. Then I walk out to the military section of the functional zone, find open ground, and set down the dreamscape core. A colorful spatial gate rises out of the spot, 3 meters high and 4 meters wide, and I check what I have got. The dreamscape has no level. It holds a large number of materialized dream beasts, and killing them provides experience points, and nothing else. Its capacity is 300 people, and the upgrade line says flatly that it cannot be upgraded. That last part makes me frown, because 300 with no ceiling raise takes a lot of the shine off it. I take Windsor, Dark Moon, and the others inside. We come out standing in a pool of maybe 300 square meters. The water in it as colorful as the gate was. About 300 meters past the edge of the pool, the whole world turns to mist. This is the dream pool, and it is the respawn point for everybody in the dreamscape. Its own panel says level 1, and that it consumes dream water to revive anyone bound to it. The current binding count reads 0 out of 300, and upgrading it takes 5,000 Dream Beast cores and 300 liters of Lifewell water. My mood improves immediately. The dreamscape cannot be upgraded, but the dream pool at the heart of it can, and the capacity comes with it. The open question is the dream water, since it gets consumed and I have no stated way to put any back. The only guess I can make is that it ties to the Dream Beast somehow, and that I will learn more once I have killed a few. First though, everyone has to bind. I walk the group to the circular platform in the middle of the pool. A cylindrical pillar stands there a little over waist height, with a colorful hemisphere on top, and I put a drop of blood on it. The connection settles into place and I know it is taken. Then I have Windsor, Dark Moon, and the rest do the same. Huawa and Harui included. Neither of those two can grow by killing things. Harui advances only by devouring element gems, since her growth has never worked any other way. And Huawa is exactly the same. But it costs nothing to try, and if it does nothing at all, they can still use this place to build combat experience. The dream pool does not cap how many people bind to it in the first place, only how many it can hold at once, so there is no reason to be stingy about it. I leave the pool alone. Some of the others go alone as well, and some take troops with them. Dark Moon and Huawa head off on their own. Tiger Mountain and Windsor each take a formation, and everybody else splits it however they like. Then I step into the mist. Visibility drops to about 10 meters, and past that there is nothing to see at all, so I summon 3 mystic ice puppets to ring me and drop a shield on myself. It is my first time in here, and I have no idea what level these things run at. I find out shortly. A python roughly a meter thick comes up out of the ground without warning, and hits one of my mystic ice puppets hard enough to send it flying, and the puppet lands as broken ice. That buys me the moment I need, and the other 2 puppets are on it immediately. It is over 10 meters long, dark green, with a triangular head and a pair of very cold eyes fixed on us, and I put my spirit eye on it. Lurking Jade Python, blue quality, level 18, strength 103, agility 130, defense 131, with poison arrow, entanglement, and ambush. Nothing about that reads differently from any monster I meet outside. Even so, I do not take chances with it, because poison-type monsters always have some nasty trick built into the way they fight. The last thing I want is to be dragged into a long tangle with one. The instant the mystic ice puppets have it wrapped up, I fire the War God talent, close the distance fast, and put the Heavenly Dragon Spear straight through its head. My experience ticks up, so that much works as advertised. I go over to the corpse and break the skull open, and there is no Dream Beast core inside, so not every Dream Beast carries one. All I can hope now is that the drop rate is better than it is on real monsters, which is a low bar and one I have watched things fail before. Out of curiosity, I try to sell the corpse and get told it is non-tradable, which more or less settles the question of whether these things are real monsters at all. I keep moving. 2 more Dream Beasts die before I finally get a core out of the skull of a purple monster leopard. It turns out to be a small, colorful sphere about the size of a thumb pad. I pocket it and pull up my own panel, while I have a quiet moment. My level reads 11, with 8 experience into a bar that wants 1,600, and my rank is still Sergeant rank. Strength reads 105, with 42 on top, and Agility 105 with 10.5 and 31.5 stacked on it. Defense is 106, carrying 5 and 31.8, with Wisdom 106 and Mana 1060. My base attributes have finally crossed 100. Turn on the War God talent and that becomes 210. And once the equipment bonuses land on top, I am sitting at around 250. The numbers do not sound like much when I say them out loud. I am, nonetheless, extremely strong. I spend the rest of the time working through the mist, killing dream beasts and taking the experience. High-level dream beasts turn up in here far more often than high-level monsters do outside, and that difference is worth more to me than it sounds. Out in the real world, every population sorts itself into a pyramid, so the higher the level, the fewer there are to find. Since I hit level 11, anything below level 11 pays me nothing at all, and hunting the things that do pay has been slow. The dreamscape cuts that problem down to almost nothing. The flip side is that a place stuffed with high-level dream beasts is rough on troops. It does not worry me much. Troops operate as a block in here, and more to the point, dying inside this place costs them absolutely nothing. Then I feel the pull of my connection to the dream pool, and I walk back out of the mist toward it. What stops me at the edge is the sight of myself lying in the water. Not only me either, everybody is in there. I step into the pool anyway, and the moment I do, the body in the water opens its eyes and I am looking out of it. There is a short disoriented stretch where nothing lines up, and then it clears. Everything I just did feels like a dream I had. Vivid enough that I can replay it, and when I replay it, I am watching myself from outside. I check my level and my spatial ring, and both are real. The level went up and the ring is holding the dream beast cores I picked out of those skulls. I say out loud that this place is genuinely magical, which is not a word I use often. Manhwa opens her eyes next to me and takes a moment to surface the same way I did. The first thing she says is that this place is magical, which makes two of us. When I ask her what happened on her side, she says she was sure a dream beast had killed her and was startled to find it had only been a dream. That answers a question I had. Dying wakes you up hard, while coming back on your own has the dream pool wake you gently. Then I ask the question that actually matters, whether this place can raise her strength. She shakes her head. I had prepared myself for that, and it still lands badly. But she adds that since fighting in here, her efficiency at absorbing element gems has gone up noticeably, and her rate of improvement with them has jumped. That is good news, and I take it. What I do not know yet is whether Manhwa will still be able to grow on element gems once she reaches general rank, or whether cultivation techniques will start working for her at that point. If both turn out to be true, she and Haruhi will outrun everybody else in this territory. I leave her to it and get on with my experiment. She does not bother me, just closes her eyes. While I watch, a second Manhwa forms out of thin air in the pool, walks past the version of herself lying in the water, and heads for the mist. She does not appear to notice her own sleeping self at all. Thinking back to my own exit, I did the same thing. Whatever is in the dream pool, you simply do not register it on the way out. I stop watching and go to the middle of the pool with my cores. 7 of them, all told, and I lay every one on the circular platform. Nothing happens. I ask the empty air whether this is the wrong way to do it. Get no answer. And then notice the dream water under my feet. So I crouch down and put the cores into the water instead. 10 minutes of staring later, the cores visibly melt a little at the edges, and I finally smile. Dream Beast cores refill the dream water. Question closed. I leave the cores where they are, walk back into the mist, and go on killing things. I stay in the dreamscape the whole day. When I finally come out, my experience reads 421, which means that at this intensity I hit level 12 in another 3 days. That is fast by any standard I have. Outside, the light has already gone thin and gray. I tell everyone what I found and remind them to hold on to every Dream Beast core they collect. The cores are not only fuel for the water, but also the stock we need to upgrade the dream pool. The water burns at no fixed rate. It burns according to how often people die. Asking around among the troops turns up something else I had not expected. Nobody can be resurrected over and over indefinitely. It is not the dream pool imposing that. It is that every resurrection leaves a person mentally worn down, and past a certain count they simply cannot take anymore. Which makes sense once I think about it. Nobody survives an unbroken run of vivid nightmares in which they are killed. It is not a real problem in any case. I have enough troops to rotate them through in shifts and let the tired ones sit out. I send everyone back to the Lord's Manor to rest, since I still have my own errand, which is another trip to the Angel Realm to collect Mystic Ice Crystal Stone. I want to make Mystic Origin magic liquid from it, and find out what the liquid produced from that particular stone actually does. On the way out, I catch Ha-Chung-dae and tell her to stop using the life well water for the moment and bank it for the dream pool upgrade instead. The well of life makes 10 liters a day. 2 wells make 20, and at that rate it takes 15 days to bank the 300 liters the upgrade wants. 15 days I can wait. The Angel Realm hands over the day's Mystic Ice Crystal Stone, and it is not much, only a few dozen pieces. With 20 people on the scene, that is exactly what I should have expected. It does make one thing obvious. I do not have anything like enough miners. Everything ahead of me runs on iron ore, copper ore, spirit crystals, and element gems most of all. Manhwa cannot improve without them, and neither can Haruhi, and my stock of gems is close to gone. Element gem mining goes to the top of the list. Back home, I take out the magic liquid origin pool and set a mystic ice crystal stone into the groove on its face, and the stone sits there doing nothing whatsoever. So I load spirit crystals into the other grooves, and immediately the stone starts melting down and shrinking. I should have guessed it would still want spirit crystals. As the stone dissolves, a thin ice blue liquid begins gathering in the cylindrical groove, and from the pace of it, this is going to take a while. Making mystic origin magic liquid is clearly a slow business. I am smiling at it regardless, because I now have a way to produce something this precious on my own, and because it can become a second export for my territory after the bright light silk. While the stone dissolves, I go and deal with other things, starting with the quality of the city wall. The building quality upgrade card is gold quality and raises a building by 1 rank, with the warning that the better the building already is, the worse the odds of it taking. This came out of a black gold 100 transformations on the night I was at Shim Shung's gathering place. I have been sitting on it ever since, because the wall was always where it was going. I designate the wall, use the card, and nothing visible happens at all. Then I pull the wall's information and find its quality now reads gold. Next, I take out the decomposition and manufacturing integrated machine, which I got yesterday and have not tested. The question is what to feed it. I stand there working it over until I catch sight of the arrow towers along the city, and that solves the problem. I have no use for those arrow towers at present, and scrapping a lot of them still leaves me holding blueprints at the end. My guess is that whatever the machine spits out will be arrow towers again, or something close to them. The interesting part is what happens if I feed Mystic Origin Magic Liquid into the process. I set the cylinder down on open ground and select Use. It barely changes, only growing a little to about 30 centimeters tall, with a handle sprouting from the side. I bend down and take the handle, and the connection drops into place with the whole operating method attached, the way these things always do. Then I walk to the nearest arrow tower, select it, and start the disassembly. The narrow serrated end of the cylinder opens into a mouth of interlocking teeth and swallows the entire tower whole. I do the same to the other 5 without slowing down. By the time I get back to the magic liquid origin pool, every mystic ice crystal stone has finished dissolving, and there is a thin layer of ice blue liquid sitting in the cylindrical groove. Mystic Origin Magic Liquid, blue quality, made from mystic ice crystal stone, usable in the construction of city walls, buildings, and weapons, with a chance of granting ice attribute magic effects. I do not hesitate. I have the integrated machine absorb every drop, and then I have it swallow every spirit crystal I have left as well. Then I tell it to make blueprints, and options appear above the cylinder. 3 blue quality blueprints, or 6 green quality blueprints. My 6 arrow towers were 3 white, 2 green, and 1 blue when they went in, and I am being offered 3 blue coming out, so the magic liquid is very clearly doing something. I take the 3 blue without thinking about it twice. A slit opens along the side of the cylinder and the blueprints come out one after another. The exploding ice arrow tower construction blueprint is blue quality. The tower fires ice arrows that explode and freeze everything inside a certain radius, and building 1 takes 50 wood, 30 stone, and 10 mystic ice crystal stone. My eyes stop on that last line. No element gems anywhere in the requirements. Only mystic ice crystal stone, which is the magic liquid at work again. Then I have an idea that is either very good or very expensive. I designate the type and run these blueprints straight back through 100 transformations, and purple light comes up while I am still watching. It works. Blueprints can be transformed again. That means the loop is real, and the loop is this. Take a building apart with the machine, add Mystic Origin Magic Liquid, regenerate a stronger blueprint, then run 100 transformations on the result. Do it to a building that was itself already built from a transformed blueprint, and it should climb again from there. There are risks in it, obviously. 100 transformations still has randomness baked in, so a higher quality outcome is not automatically a more useful one, and I could easily upgrade my way into something I do not want. There is also no chance of doing any of this right now. For buildings like the 100 Spirits Pavilion or the Well of Life, I do not even hold the materials to rebuild them once. None of that changes the fact that a ceiling I thought was fixed has just turned out to have stairs behind it. I put the machine away carefully and read what came out. The exploding ice arrow rain tower construction blueprint is purple quality, and instead of a single ice arrow, it fires ice arrow rain that explodes and freezes enemies in a radius. Construction wants 100 wood, 50 stone, and 50 mystic ice crystal stone. The attack has not fundamentally changed. It has only become an area weapon instead of a single shot. I run the other 2 blueprints through as well. One of them lands on a second exploding ice arrow rain tower blueprint, and the other lands somewhere else entirely. The ice demon tower construction blueprint is also purple, and the tower it builds releases fixed ice attribute magic. It costs 50 fine wood, 10 fine stone, and 200 mystic ice crystal stone. Same quality tier as the arrow rain tower, plainly a stronger building, and the material list is what tells me so. The part I am most grateful for is that it still does not want element gems, only mystic ice crystal stone. Mystic Origin magic liquid keeps proving itself, though by now I suspect what I am really seeing is what the liquid and the integrated machine do when they are used together. I get back to the Lord's Manor, eat dinner, and sit down to think about tomorrow. My territory population has crossed 3,100, which clears the requirement to upgrade to a Tier 2 town. That number exists mostly because of the 100 Spirits Pavilion, which hands me 100 population a day without fail. It has not handed me a single hero in several days, though, so whatever the odds are on a hero coming out of those summons, they are genuinely dismal. I could raise the territory tonight, and I am not going to. I am already far enough ahead that another upgrade would light a fire under every lord behind me. Territorial lords who feel that fire start developing like their lives depend on it, which is bad news for the new lords in particular. So I hold, and I will do the whole upgrade in one push near the end of the month. Population is the only thing genuinely limiting me anyway. If I come up short on buildings, I can buy them at the Mansong shop, where the quality on offer is unimpressive but the catalog is broad. I lie down and open the chat channel, since I have not looked at what the other lords are doing in 2 days. The mood in there has changed completely. People are talking about how good it feels to stand on solid ground, and how a simple territory still beats drifting at sea. Founding one, they say, finally made them feel settled, and gave them a reason to build. Somebody who is still adrift says they envy all of it. Somebody else tells them there is nothing to envy, because several people they knew were wiped out by high-level demonic beasts the moment they set foot on an island. The first one answers that they reach their own island tomorrow and will learn from those deaths. Then the regrets start. One lord says that if he had known back in the Chiamo Islands, he would have sold his territory core and be living well by now. Another agrees, saying he spent that whole period fantasizing about becoming a regional overlord with no self-awareness at all. From there it slides straight into dread. Someone asks whether those who never managed to found a territory are going to drift for the rest of their lives, since the Lord Continent is supposed to be enormous. Someone else answers that it is worse than that, because the territorial lords are saying that after next month you cannot establish a territory even if you find an island. The first one thanks him sourly for the comfort. Then a third asks whether the ones without territories will simply be wiped out next month, and a fourth tells everybody to stop telling horror stories in the middle of the night. Then Yogyong steps in and calms the whole room down. He tells them nobody is being wiped out, that failing to establish a territory only means the heavenly mandate trial was failed, and that they still have ships. They can surrender to a lord, become heroes under them, join an army or a merchant group, and take part in the wars and the sea trade running between the islands. The channel practically sighs with relief. One person announces themselves reassured and immediately asks whether Big Shot Yo has room for more people. Another says that a place like his is certainly not short of applicants. A third says that if Big Shot Yo would just take him in, he would have easy access to rare materials and treasures for his attribute points from then on. Somebody finally tells the lot of them that it is late, they should go to sleep, and they can have everything they want in their dreams. I raise an eyebrow at that. I had no idea Yogyong had built himself that much of a following in there. Then again, thinking back to the way he used to talk at me, I am not really surprised. The boy is extremely good at making a room feel warm. He is not by any measure I can find, especially bright. I shut the chat channel and did not think about the Lord Continent again until much later that night, lying there with the three of them in my head unusually clear. That was when I started working through what came next. First on the list is this week's disaster. Qianmo has given me no hint at all, and up to this point I have not seen a single sign of anything going wrong anywhere. What I am confident of is that it will be tied to some resource, because this entire month has been one long run of resource disasters. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and it should start showing itself, so I need to be watching. Second is tomorrow's actual work, which is clearing the 4 camps to the west. When I first read the life map, there were 4 settlements out that way, 3 human and 1 beast race, and I have no intention of leaving free population sitting on the ground. Population is the base of everything a territory is. With enough people I can cut back the surrounding forest faster and widen the safe ground around the walls. With enough people I can grow the mining crews and pull in more resources and more gold stone. More people means more money, and more money means a better place to live, which means unlocking further territory technologies and putting up more psionic buildings. Because for all my ranking and all my hoarding, my territory is still primitive. Survival is handled. Safety is not completely. We are still eating out of communal kitchens with no currency circulating and no commerce of any kind. When I look at where I am, what I feel is not satisfaction but the opposite. What I want is the whole island, one powerful territory anchoring it, and several cities across it, each with its own function, working as a cluster. After that, a seat in the game the veteran lords are playing, and eventually mastery of a small world of my own. That is the far end of the road, and it is very far away, so the only thing to do is keep my feet on the ground and keep working. I fall asleep somewhere in the middle of thinking it. In the dream, I have done all of it. I have taken the underground world, cleared the island end to end, and set up a demonic beast reserve because I was worried the beasts would run out. 3 cities stand on the island and a 4th stands on the seabed. My territory has become a small world. The angel realm has come back to life, and angels move through its sky in flocks. I have hundreds of thousands of powerful troops, and Windsor and the others have each risen to Emperor tier. All of us are singing in a palace inside my own small world, at peace and thoroughly happy. Then something several thousand meters tall appears inside my small world and ruins it in an instant. I look up at it and its gaze is cold enough to freeze the marrow in me, and I know exactly what I am looking at. A world-destroying beast. It swings at me, and my heart lurches, and my eyes come open. I lie there breathing hard until the room resolves and the daze burns off. The dream was so vivid that for a few seconds I believed it had happened. I have to put my hands over my face and work my cheeks with my palms before I am sure it did not. Possibly that is what a full day inside the dreamscape does to a person. I tell the empty room that I am not letting a world-destroying beast take everything I have built, and then I get up and shake the rest of it off. What the dream leaves behind is a much sharper hunger for strength than I woke up with yesterday. After breakfast, I take Heavenly Oddity, Dillis, Hachonde, and Cat Shadow, and I move out with 232 troops behind them. The force is 100 shield warriors, 50 rapid shooters, and 15 level 12 flame shooters, plus 2 level 12 extreme ice giant bears, 5 level 12 healers, 30 berserkers, and 30 spearmen. Some of them came out of troop nests and the rest came out of summoning cards. Everybody else stays home, part of them guarding the residents who are out felling trees and cutting stone, the rest rotating through the dreamscape to push their levels. Before I leave, I hand Mori 10 gold stone for summoning at the 100 Spirits Pavilion, or for Sopan's use if he needs it. It goes to her because she is the only one of them staying in the Lord's Manor all day. Then I set Philodia and Harui to hunting underwater with Little Blue, who does her best work down there anyway, and I take my column out of the territory and into the western forest. Once we are under the trees, I put Cat Shadow on detection and have her use her talent to steer us clear of monster packs wherever she can. The shield warriors and the 2 extreme ice giant bears take the front, the spearmen and berserkers follow tight behind them, and the shooters and healers sit in the middle of the block. We move carefully and we move fast, and it does not take long to reach the first target. The human settlement ahead of us is not what I have been expecting, because it is not made of wood. There is a river running north to south, and on the west bank of it stands a curved stone wall with both ends anchored into the cliff face of the mountain peak. The wall runs nearly 3 meters high and 2 meters thick. There are humans patrolling on top of it in rattan armor and leather armor, and almost every one of them carries a bow and a quiver. I count no fewer than 70 people on the wall alone. Where the wall comes closest to the river, there is a wooden gate faced with the hide armor of some monster I do not recognize, dark and extremely solid looking. This is by a wide margin the most serious settlement I have run into. I stand there running the options. Negotiation is a waste of breath, because people behind a wall like that do not fold on request. Sneaking in is worse, since nobody is coming out of that gate at all and the daylight is still bright. I am not going to sit in the trees for a week waiting for a gap, so we go in the hard way. I brief it fast. I tell the 2 extreme ice giant bears that when I give the word, they cast freeze and put a frozen path across the river ahead of us. Then I tell Dillis that once the ice path is down, she takes the 2 extreme ice giant bears, 30 berserkers and 30 shield warriors straight at the gate. She is to break it open as fast as she physically can, and the shooters will keep the wall off her the whole way. She nods and asks nothing. I summon 3 mystic ice puppets, put a shield on Dillis, a shield on Hachyeongdae, and a shield on Cat Shadow, and then I give the order to attack. Every rapid shooter and archer draws and looses together, and the volley goes up and comes down across the wall. The shout of enemy attack goes along the parapet and the humans drop into cover behind the stone, though a few of the unlucky ones take arrows on the way down. With their heads down, the 2 extreme ice giant bears roar, charge the riverbank, and cast freeze in the same moment. A path of ice more than a meter wide forms across the water. Dillis takes 30 berserkers already deep in frenzy, and 30 shield warriors straight across it while the archers put down a second volley. They make the far bank, and then there is open ground between them and the gate, and the humans on the wall have recovered enough to start shooting back from cover. The shield warriors with Dillis all cast Fortify and Giant Shield at once, and their shields swell and take on a coat of black light. 30 of them angle the shields forward and out to the flanks, while the troops behind pack into the middle and hold shields over their heads. Almost the entire group disappears inside a shell of black. The whole formation keeps moving for the gate without losing pace. I order the rest forward to suppress. The remaining 70 shield warriors advance together and cast Giant Shield and Fortify. When the shields come up person high, they crouch and brace them, and the shooters work over the top without stopping. A few of my shooters still take hits, and the 5 healers at the back sweep their staves up and start pouring white light into the wounded archers. Heavenly Oddity and I stay out of it entirely, and that is deliberate. I want practice commanding this, and I want experience in what a fight between troops and an intelligent race actually costs. Troops are expensive, and I am probably going to lose some today, and I am doing it anyway, because an army only becomes dangerous by being used. That said, I am not standing here for decoration. 5 monsters lift out of the mountain range behind the enemy wall with riders clearly visible on their backs, and I had not expected flying units in a place like this. 5 is not many, but air over a formation changes everything, and these 5 are not getting to my troops. I drop into Saint Dragon form. White scales come up over me. My hair goes silver. My pupils turn a pale gold, and the blue mark on my forehead is the mermaid heart crystal surfacing. I cast Holy Dragon Wings. A pair of white wings opens behind me, and one beat takes me up to meet them. My arrival scares them for about a second before they steady themselves and spread into a ring around me. I hold position and look them over. Their mounts look like flying eagles, entirely black, with very sharp eyes, and all 5 riders wear leather armor with quivers on their backs and longbows in their hands. Their information comes back blue quality, level 18, base attributes averaging around 120. What stops me is that all 5 of them are professionals, and all 5 are the same profession, strongbow archers. That is not a coincidence, and it is not luck. There is something under this settlement. Strength-wise, we are close enough that a real fight means going all out, and going all out means accidents and dead people, and 5 level 18 professionals are worth 5 excellent grade units. I do not intend to waste any of them. The middle-aged man at the front of the ring swallows his temper long enough to demand who I am and why I am attacking their camp. The other 4 glare at me over their bows. I laugh at him and tell him there is no point talking now that we are already fighting, and that we can settle it by hand. Then I open the first layer of the War God talent, and my attributes go over 200 because I intend to take all 5 of them by simply being heavier than they can handle. Their faces change the moment my aura hits them, and even the beasts under them go unsteady, because what is rolling off me is the aura of the Dragon Clan. Nobody says anything else. All 5 draw together, and their arrows come alight with green, gold, or red, and they loose at me. The arrows are honestly slow now. I tilt the Holy Dragon Wings and turn into a white streak, slide past the volley, and close on them while it explodes behind me. Watching that happen changes their expressions dramatically. They haul on the ropes fixed to their eagles' necks and scatter in 5 directions, still twisting back to shoot as they run. That buys them a few seconds and nothing more, because the eagles are not remotely fast enough. I catch the first one quickly. On the way in, I shift through into Demon Dragon form and release Demon Dragon armor and Magic Dragon wings, so Black Plate closes over me and the black wings take the air. An arrow comes at my face and I slap it out of the way, and I do not particularly care about the explosion that follows. Then I am beside the rider and I hit them across the head and put them out. I roar at the eagle to go down, and to my genuine surprise it seems to understand me and starts descending on its own. I leave it to it and go after the rest. The second goes down, then the third. Not one of them can hurt me and not one of them can get away. I work through them like something out of a bad story, and all 5 are dealt with inside a minute. Then I drop out of the War God state, let the Magic Dragon Wings idle me in place, and look the battlefield over from behind the black faceplate. Down on the wall, morale has clearly broken. Some of the defenders keep glancing up at me, plainly waiting for me to come for them next. I do not, because there is no longer any need. My side has the whole field. Dillis has reached the gate, and the gate is being taken apart. Then I feel someone looking at me. I turn my head and find a woman standing on the mountain wall behind the city wall, watching me. When I look back at her, she smiles at me, and then she opens the iron door of a cave set into the rock. An eagle's cry comes out of it, and a black shape comes out right behind the cry. It crosses the distance so fast that it is in front of me before I have finished registering that it left. I flip into the War God state on reflex and get both arms up, and the impact throws me tumbling backwards through the air until I catch it with the Magic Dragon Wings and stabilize. I got careless and took one straight to the guard. This settlement is not just strange, it is stacked. The thing in front of me is another flying eagle, except its wingspan is a full 9 meters. There is a tuft of red feathers standing up on its head, and its eyes are burning red and completely without fear. Blazing Flame Flying Eagle, purple quality, level 23, strength 297, agility 292, defense 213. Its skills run Sharp Claws, Blazing Flame Imbue, Blazing Flame Ray, Fire Ring, Fire Rain, and Fire Snake Dance. My pupils shrink when I read that. Level 23, and something that has clearly had attributes allocated into it. My own base sits around 105. Demon Dragon form adds 20%, which is 21. And War God talent adds another 105, which brings me to 231. And equipment carries me to roughly 270. Even at 270, the only place I edge it is defense. My speed does not match it, which means I very likely cannot land a hit, while everything it throws will land on me and hurt. With every buff I own running, I am already a monster by the standards of this world, and I have just met something worse, in a random settlement behind a stone wall. Nothing about that adds up. My face is not doing anything amusing anymore. This is the first opponent in a long while that is genuinely stronger than I am, and if I get this wrong I lose people. But if I get it right, the payoff is going to be enormous. Because a settlement with this many things in it that should not be there is a settlement sitting on something. I release demon blood boiling and fighting demon dragon, take the heavenly dragon spear, and go straight at it. It does not flinch. Its claws light up silver in the sun and meet my spear head on, and the impact rings like steel on steel and throws us apart, both of us tumbling. The exchange tells me exactly what I already suspected. Its strength beats mine. I come back in and we collide again, and the two of us drift further from the sky above the gathering place with every pass. On one of those passes, I see light run across the red feathers on its head, and the feeling that gives me is bad enough that I break off and climb hard. A ring of fire sweeps through the space where my feet were, expanding out of its body in a perfect circle. A slower reaction and I would be badly hurt right now. This bird is not just fast, it is cunning. Missing makes it furious. It cries out long and loud and its whole frame catches in crimson flame, and then its eyes shift and two crimson rays come at me. I get most of the way clear, and one of them takes my left shoulder, punches through the demon dragon armor, and goes through. I would genuinely like to know how anybody is supposed to fight this thing. Up close there is the ring of fire. At range there are the blazing flame rays, and fire rain and fire snake dance. Every distance belongs to it. So I go back to Saint Dragon form, shake out the holy dragon wings, and stop holding still at all, changing my flight line constantly. A white halo settles around me and holy light healing goes to work on the shoulder. A gold and white longsword forms in my hand, the holy light sword, and I start throwing holy light slash, streak after streak of gold and white sword light, straight at it. It flaps those burning wings and slips through the sword light while it closes on me, occasionally putting out a ring of fire to shred whatever is nearest. The whole exchange has me on the back foot and running, and the only mercy in it is that for all its power, it is not closing quickly. The long chase gets to it eventually. Its beak opens wide and a long snake of flame comes out, dancing as it comes, and it eats the distance between us fast. I flip to demon dragon form, take the demon dragon armor, and stack several shields on top of that. The fire snake wraps me and detonates, and when the light clears I am back in Saint Dragon form with the white halo running over me, closing the burns. Then I check my injuries and my remaining mana and accept that I cannot keep this going. I unequip the Heavenly Dragon Spear and take out something I have never once used. The Yin Yang Jade Fan is gold quality, special equipment that acts on the spirit and the soul, and it carries several skills. Yang Fish Exhale, waved from the white fish side, restores and heals spiritual and soul injury. Yin Fish Swallowing Radiance, waved from the black fish side, devours the enemy's spirit and soul. Yin Yang Boundary, waved as a whole, forms a boundary that holds the enemy inside and stops them escaping while the yin-yang wind erodes them. There is a note at the bottom warning that the fan's power depends on the strength of the user, and that forcing it risks backlash. I have owned it for a long time and never touched it, first because I did not need it, and second because it grants no attributes at all. Since I cannot equip two offensive items at once, it has simply sat there. Today I am out of better ideas. There is also a reason I did not open with it. I wanted the eagle to burn down some of its own mana first, so that the fan's skills would bite harder when they landed. The skills come with the equipment and cost me very little mana to use, and the eagle, for all its statistics, is not carrying gear that reduces what its own skills cost it. I open the fan. The ribs are white jade and both faces carry black and white ink paintings. One side shows a large white fish swimming in a black sea, and the other a large black fish in a white sea. Their eyes are exactly reversed, so the white fish looks out of black eyes and the black fish out of white ones. I gather my mana, sweep the black fish side, and release Yin Fish Swallowing Radiance. A large black fish rises off the painted surface, peels away from the fan, and swims toward the eagle, growing as it goes until it is 20 meters long. It moves through the air with white streams pouring from both of its white eyes, and it makes no sound whatsoever. The eagle's fire ring does not even slow it. The fish goes straight into the eagle and vanishes. The scream that comes out of that bird is like nothing I have heard. It hurls itself back and forth across the sky in agony, clipping the treetops, and the flame on it sets one stretch of forest alight after another. I take the opening and sweep the fan twice more in quick succession, and this time two fish come off it, one white and one black. They spiral forward, alternating around each other, arrive above the eagle, and then join head to tail and start rotating faster and faster. What I am looking at becomes a yin-yang symbol, half dark with a light eye and half light with a dark eye, spread out over the bird. Light pours down out of the symbol like ink through water and forms a black and white space 100 meters across. With the eagle sealed underneath, it throws itself at the inside of the yin-yang boundary again and again, crashing off it, and finally calls down fire rain and hammers the boundary from within with a shower of fireballs. Black and white and crimson, the turning symbol and the falling fire. It is genuinely one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen, and I say so out loud, and then I say what it actually is, which is the beauty of death. Then, very quietly, I tell the boundary to blow. Countless miniature black and white fish come into being inside the boundary and start sweeping across the eagle in streaks. It screams and it has nothing left to answer with. The flames on it die back, the wounds accumulate, and what it is loses substance a piece at a time until there is no sound inside the boundary at all. That is when I know it is finished. I close the fan and the yin-yang boundary breaks apart into black and white ink and thins away to nothing. What is left of the eagle appears in the open air and immediately starts to fall, and before it has gone far, it turns into purple light. My eyes go wide and I am already moving, flying down to catch whatever the purple light leaves behind. I do not stop to look at it. The fight below is still going, so I take the item and go straight back to the gathering place, and when I come over it in the air, it has already been broken open. Only a scattered handful of defenders are still resisting, and the moment they see me overhead, even that stops. The whole settlement watches me come down, and every face is shock. They knew exactly what that blazing flame flying eagle was, and they knew that if their own leader had not managed to get temporary control of it, it would have flattened this place by itself. Now I am back, and the eagle is not, and nobody here needs that explained to them. I tell Dillis to strip their weapons and tie every one of them up, and to count our casualties and bring me the number afterwards. Then I walk over to the woman who opened that cave door. She is not a hero but a level 18 professional, and her quality reads epic, which is high enough to be worth remarking on. She watches me come and says absolutely nothing, jaw set, glaring hard enough to leave marks. I tell her quite calmly that she can stop, because she is not going to glare me to death. She makes a small contemptuous sound and keeps doing it anyway. I ask whether her name is Myung-hee, and hold her eyes, and tell her she has two roads available. One is death, and the other is surrender. Her face goes white with fury at that, and she stares at me. Then she says through her teeth, spacing every syllable out as if each one is being dragged from her by force, that she surrenders. I decide not to comment on her delivery. I do tell her that if she has decided to surrender, then she ought to look like it, instead of like someone about to bite a chunk out of me. She gives no ground at all. I let it go, because I have never seen the point in being stingy with a defeated opponent, and I tell her instead to take me to whatever her gathering place is hiding. She is not willing and she comes anyway, because she knows what her options are. Resisting me costs another life and changes nothing, and she is clear-eyed enough to see that dying for nothing is still nothing. On the way, I ask her how she controlled the blazing flame-flying eagle, and how she trained eagles that would take control at all. She says it comes down to a building in her territory. That building produces one beast-taming pill a day, and a beast-taming pill carries a chance of taming a monster, but the chance is not good. She has had the building for a month or two and it has worked 5 times. The blazing flame flying eagle was pure fortune. She came across one that was already badly wounded, and because she happened to own a beast control ring, she was able to hold it. After that, she fed it a beast taming pill now and then until it came fully under her. Then she says we have arrived, and that this is where all the secrets of her gathering place are kept. She leads me into a huge cave lit by crystals scattered across the ceiling, and there are only 2 things in the whole cavern. One is a black platform and the other is a 3-legged alchemy furnace. I pull the information on both. The job change altar is purple quality, level 1, and it allows items to be sacrificed in order to change a job and become a professional. The only job currently available on it is strongbow archer, and upgrading it takes 2 black element stones and 30 magic spirit liquid. The alchemy furnace is blue quality with no grade at all, and it refines pills automatically from whatever materials are put in. Its status reads 3 sets of beast taming pill materials remaining with 1 set refined automatically each day, and its restriction caps output at 2 pills a day. Its known recipes are common beast taming pill, excellent beast taming pill, common experience pill, excellent experience pill, excellent detoxification pill, and superior bloodline pill. I give Myung-hee a long look after reading that. The furnace has been set to make exactly 1 beast taming pill a day this whole time, and that setting can be changed, and she has clearly never known how. Then I ask her what her cultivation technique is, because a gathering place like this does not produce a level 18 professional without one. She is not surprised that I know, since in her eyes I am obviously far stronger than she is. She simply tells me to follow her. We leave the cave and take a path cut into the cliff face down the mountain, and at the bottom of it there is a wooden hut about 2.5 meters tall. She pushes the door open and we go in, and what is in there stops me where I stand. because it is well beyond anything I had prepared myself for. I point at the silver-white space portal standing in the middle of the hut and ask whether this is the real secret of her gathering place and whether everything else came out of here. She nods and says the portal appeared a very long time ago and that her father was the first person to bring anything out of it. The first thing he carried back was that job change item. She adds that changing jobs demands a great deal of monster flesh and blood and sacrifice, and her territory was weak back then, so professionals were extremely hard to produce. Her father, though, was a natural professional, so he kept going back into the secret realm. When she was a child, he brought out a cultivation technique from inside it, one of the permanent kind. That technique pushed his own strength higher, and after that he hunted monsters to fund job changes for the rest of the tribe, and the gathering place grew from there one step at a time. I point out that counting her there are 6 professionals here, and ask whether she really wants to call that development. She fires back that of course it is not the whole picture, and that plenty of professionals have come out of this place over the years. A great many of them died, some inside the secret realm and some out hunting monsters. She adds that those 6 are not the only professionals in her territory either, only that the others are too weak to have registered with me at all. I concede that, since it was never possible for me to pull the information on every single person standing in this gathering place. Then I look at her and ask whether she was the one who brought the alchemy furnace out. She nods. She was. Since her father died, she has carried what he was carrying, going into the secret realm herself and building the gathering place up, and her luck has run well. Not long after she took over, she brought out both the alchemy furnace and the beast control ring. After that, she gradually tamed several eagles and was fortunate enough to bring a powerful blazing flame flying eagle king under her control.